Stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly. Yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I get too hard for it? Don't need a replacement. This my vocation. Now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on a jet just to take a.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are back at it again. It's that ATP Combat Media Show. Clap it up for yourselves. Be excited. It is fight week. It is fight week, ladies and gentlemen. We are 2 days away from the big family feud, blood feud affair going down in England over there across the pond between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. Definitely got to talk about that. Some of the fights on that card, which I think is a pretty good card. You got Anthony Yardi on that card, making his return to the light heavyweight division. He'll be fighting against a Lyndon Arthur. We've got Vidal Rowley and Chef Clark, I want to say his name is. That should be a great fight. And of course, the main event. The main event is just built up to such a is culminating to a point now where these guys have to settle it in the ring. Intangibles we'll talk about today and probably give some predictions finally after it's all said and done. These guys will be getting on the scale tomorrow, well, Friday, I would say Friday, right, to get in that ring. Interested in these different intangibles, and I'm definitely interested in seeing how Ray sees it. I've been up and down with this, believe it or not. I thought in the beginning it was a little bit more clear for me of where I thought it was going to go, but as we get closer and you're looking at the training camps and you're watching things kind of develop, man, you know what I mean? We'll talk about that for sure today. Also, the WBA gets extra active in the boxing space and starts ordering fights all over the place. They're putting titles out there. They want in. The WBA wants in. If a Nick gets sold in the park, they want in, and they feeling a little left out. So they decided to go ahead and put out some orders, and they said, listen, man, we want to get involved, man. We want to make some big fights. They're moving pieces around on the board. And I'm going to be honest with you, Ray, I'm not so mad at them. I kind of get it, right? And I'm not mad at the moves they're making. We're going to talk about that and what that means for the boxing space. We're going to talk about how that moves the pieces in the favor of us, the boxing fans. Looks like they're lining up some things that happen. We're going to talk about that as well, of course. We're going to build a little bit on a couple of fights that have also just been announced. Floyd Schofield Jr. has a fight that's been announced. It's going to be on the Jake Paul card, and even Jake Paul, we got to talk about it as well. I think Jake Paul actually is getting a fight this time around. Maybe not, right? I don't know how you guys want to look at it. You know how Jake Paul's always kind of like cherry picking, but this might be the closest we've ever seen him get to a fight, right? And maybe we should celebrate or maybe not. We're going to talk about it, right? We're going to talk about how we really look at it, as he does seem to be upping the challenge a little bit. You know what I mean? And that's all you can ask. We have to take into consideration who he is at the end of the day. As much as he trolls, as much as we want to see him get kind of like humbled, we also can acknowledge where he's at. No amateur background, YouTuber, you know, and he's doing great things for the sport when he is doing great things. But at times, it seems like he's kind of trolling us, especially with the last fight he had. But this one coming up, we're going to talk about that and see what we actually think about that. And I got a sleeper, man. I think I like it, man. Jahi Tucker and Lorenzo Simpson, Truck Simpson are getting ready to fight, bro. We're going to talk about that. I think that's a great fight. That's one of those fights where, you know, those are the kind of fights where people talk about building it up and seeing these guys get accolades and put belts on the line. They're having it now. That's kind of refreshing to see that. And I want to talk about the Shakur Stevenson,
Eddie Hearn breakup.
Well, not, yeah, I mean, because that's actually getting Eddie Hearn shared some perspective on that as well. But Shakur just did a great interview on the Danza Project. talked about a lot of things, man. Real transparent. Oh, man, I love what I was hearing. And news on his hands, and man, looks like he's fine. He feels pretty confident. He's found a solution and has some understanding of how he's going to deal with his hands, which I'm hoping that works out, because I know and I feel and I believe Shakur Stevenson is a pound for pound great in the space, and those hands make me nervous, Ray. They make me nervous.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, just a real quick touch on it. Pause. I think that him fighting too early was one of the things that happened here in recovery time. Like, if you looked at the other hand injury that we had with what's the name, it took him a lot longer to recover from that. With Floyd and someone else recent, it took a lot longer to recover from that surgery. So they were out for quite some time. He came back a little too early, and I don't think it was the time of him coming back to fight the fight. I think it was him getting back into sparring and competition, being in the gym. I think he came back too early. He didn't let them heal properly. And look, at the end of the day, it'll progress. It'll go into a safe spot where you're comfortable. But it's always the fact that because you don't let things heal properly, you can end up hurting yourself. And being that he's been on a media tour, Clay, that might have given him some time.
Yeah, definitely, man. We're going to talk about it. That's for sure. We're definitely going to talk about it. And also we got to talk about David Benavidez in the hunt for a dancing partner. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like they're lining up, you know what I mean, to fight against him. And we're going to talk about it, man. Opportunity's opportunity, right? Ray, at the end of the day, you know, this is fighting, and it's about what, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And and you know, we're going to talk about that as well, right? We're going to talk about these fighters that he's looking to fight against, what they plan on doing, and then of course, you know, game plan as usual to open up the panel, allow people to come up and share some perspective on what's going on. So, look, first of all, how you doing today, Ray? How's everything going?
Good, man. I just came back from driving my wife around. She had to go through something this morning, early in the morning. I left work early. I'm exhausted, but at the same time, you know, we had a little sit down time, family time together, me and her, and we came in. And I was like, yo, let me go back and do my thing. Showed her a little garden I'm building for her. She was like, okay, yeah, a little too wide. And nah, it's perfect. Just leave it. I got this.
No doubt, man.
Yeah,
salute to everybody who's in the building. As I always say, first of all, please remember to hit the like button. You know what I mean? Subscribe if you haven't been subscribed to the channel already. But also want to thank you guys for being with us here today. First of all, I'm running a little late today, so I understand how that goes. Second of all, there's a lot of content being made around this time. A lot of people up and at it right now, so I totally get it. You know what I mean? And I'm appreciative of you being here and give us an opportunity to build on this boxing with you guys, man. Salute to you guys. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Let's dive in, man. Let's dive right in, man, because I really want to talk about it. You know, we're here. Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, 2 days away. All the talk has been great. The Egggate was great. You know, the passion behind Chris Eubank Jr. Wanting to hold Conor Benn accountable for his PED usage. Conor Benn, you know, redemption for him in many ways because of dealing with this whole entire past 2.5 years or so of being this cheat, you know what I mean? Ultimately ended up finding himself, you know, spending a lot of money to protect his brand, to protect his legacy and his father's legacy. And people would argue came out on the other side victorious, as it seems like all the charges were dropped. But it took 2.5 years, 2 years or so off his career trajectory. The last time we saw Conor Benn in the ring, he was in Vegas fighting against Pete Dobson. I think a lot of people saw a lot of ring rust in that fight, and also, you know, saw that power not necessarily translate like it did before Egggate, right? So people started to assume and hey, maybe, you know, they hold some weight. Maybe there's some teeth to these allegations about him using these performance enhancement drugs. And what ended up coming out was once he got it out of his system, you know, he seemed like a human being. He seemed like a, you know, rather pedestrian at times. What does that look like in this fight? This is going to be a redemption fight, family feud. We know the history between the fathers in this fight, Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, the Destroyer, having that legacy fight in England. This is a big deal over there. But there are definitely some intangibles also that we're going to be looking at in this fight. We got a weight differential here. We've got Conor Benn, who normally fights down towards about 147 pounds, and Chris Eubank, who's fought up as high as 168. And there seems to be a lot of dispute as far as how much that's going to affect the fight. At this point, though, Ray, where are you on this fight? Have you come to any kind of conclusion? What are you looking at? What's the X factor in this fight?
The X factor is going to be the experience of the division, man. I didn't put it out there multiple times. Yeah, you can be flashy, you can be this, you can be that. You know what I mean? You can come into the ring with a warrior spirit, but you're coming into the domain of a man that's been there before. He knows what it is, what it takes, and he's not really looking for trouble. Like you brought trouble to his door. You know what I mean? You want to live on a legacy. You wanted to provoke poke the bear. Is that what they say? You wanted to poke the bear. And you poked the bear, he slapped you with an egg. I hate to say it. Right. So now he's telling you it's game time, bro. You better bring your A game. He's trying to get you up. He's trying to get you out your game mentally. And I think he successfully did so. Well, you're going to see kind of been trying to hurt Chris Eubanks, who's a much bigger fighter at the end of the day. And him trying to hurt somebody that's already there and acclimated to that size and that weight, bro, all day, kind of been gonna look bad, man. He's gonna get hurt. He's gonna get stopped. Easy work. Easy explanation.
All right. Now, do you think this is going to be easy work as far as the explanation, or easy work as far as what you expect Eubank to do with Conor Benn?
I think Eubanks is going to allow Conor Benn to exhaust himself from moving up in weight and take and capitalize on it. I think he's gonna be the boxer. He's gonna be like you say, he's gonna be the villain, but he's gonna be the boxer. He's gonna be the smarter guy. So to come in here calm, cool, and collective, he's gonna do what he has to do. He's gonna take advantage of the weaknesses of Conor Benn, which is him being a hothead, right? Frustrations. Conor Benn gets frustrated, he acts stupid. He gets irresponsible. He's gonna capitalize on those things. So we already seen when he fought Pete Dobson, he didn't look good moving up to 150, which he ended up coming in the ring at 175. He didn't look good, right? He looked sluggish, he looked slow. And not only that, that was his last fight, which was a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been off. He ain't had no action. Chris Eubanks had 2 fights since then.
Yep.
I mean, ring rust is
right? 3 fights. No,
was
2
it 3?
fights. No,
was it 3? I think it was 2. I thought he had one right before.
Twice, and then he fought that fight on the Riyadh card.
But he had one right before that fight, I thought, and then he had 2 after. I could be wrong.
No. The replacement fight, the fight was supposed to be Conor Benn. The replacement fight,
Okay, you're right.
Got clipped. Fought Liam again in the rematch, clipped him, and then or beat him, and then he had that fight recently. You know,
168. So yeah, you're right. But regardless, there's 3 fights. So yeah, he's been very active, right? Conor Benn hasn't. Conor Benn's been calling everybody out from Tank Davis to daggone Lennox Lewis, bro. Like he don't know who he want to fight next. I told you, he's a hothead, he's a steamroller, and he gonna get walked on.
No doubt, man. Yeah, listen, man. I like what you're saying, bro. I like what you're saying, man. It makes sense over here. In the beginning, I leaned. I was on the Eubank train, right? I'm like, you know what? Eubank is it's his weight class. Especially this time around, being that the first fight was going to be at a catch weight of like 150 something, like 157 or something like that Eubank had agreed to cut down to make the fight happen. And I was like, oh man, he's going to be really depleted. This one being at 160 in a weight class where Chris Eubank has been competing, I like it better for Chris Eubank, right? There's outside intangibles in this fight that need to be taken into consideration. One of them that I like you pointed on was the activity, right? I think that activity for Chris Eubank is going to make a bit of a difference. I do believe Conor Benn being outside the ring for as long as he's been outside the ring, and like you said, on the back end of that performance he had with Pete Dobson, just looked pedestrian in that fight, right? So we're really in the dark. There's like this mystery thing going on with Conor Benn, which is, who is Conor Benn going to be in this fight? Coming off, whether he put the performance enhancement drugs in his system or not, they were there, and we can argue they helped him one way or another. They enhanced his performance. It's very similar to the Ryan Garcia conversation, right? So it's not in his system no more. He's testing clean. He shows up and he looks regular in front of Pete Dobson, right? He just looks, he won the fight. I don't feel he was sluggish per se or things of that nature, but it did seem like more importantly for me, it seemed like the power just wasn't translating. What he would normally do in fights, the shots he was connecting with on Pete Dobson wasn't translating into something effective as I thought it would. So I don't know if it was the ring rust. I don't know if it was just the truth of the fact that going up in weight, the power just isn't there at the catch weight. I don't know what it is, right? But in this fight coming up, I feel like if the power doesn't translate, I find a hard time seeing Conor Benn outpointing per se. Chris Eubank, I find a hard time seeing him do that. Although, you got the whole ring generalship and the aggression and the effective aggression thing that Conor Benn may be able to check the boxes on a little bit if Chris Eubank becomes a little too reserved and too defensively aware of the danger he might believe Conor Benn really poses as far as with the power. He can become a little reserved, right? Become more. He needs to be offensive. Yeah, he needs to be offensive in this fight as well. He needs to have some good offense and effective aggression for himself, and I think he can do that based off of his last fight. He just came off of. He showed that he can turn it up and when need be and get guys out of there. Conor Benn, I question as far as who's going to be the bigger guy in the ring that night. And I know Chris Eubanks physically is the bigger guy, but there is a rehydration clause on this one. And this is about Chris Eubank cutting the weight correctly and being and being able to deal with that rehydration clause that he hasn't had to deal with and still be a strong version of himself in that ring against Conor Benn. I'm sure Conor Benn will test the integrity of that weight cut and the integrity of that conditioning. He'll try to do that. On the other side of the conversation, Conor Benn also blessings BVO wa alaikum salam. On the other side of the conversation, Conor Benn may come in the ring very strong and in the best shape of his life. He's been in the camp, separated himself. He's hired a nutritionist. Conor Benn is a guy who's always been in shape. I've never seen Conor Benn not be in shape. He's going to be strong. I expect him to be strong. I'm gonna expect him to be in some of the best shape he's ever been in his career. Fighting shape wise, we'll see how that translates with him at 160. We'll see how that translates. I'm interested in seeing what it looks like on the scale. Does he come in at 160? Does he come in at 157? You know what I'm saying? 156, 158. If he comes in below 160, I'm going to say that he's in great shape. If he comes in at 160, I'm going to question if he got more focused on if he got too focused on the size difference between him and Chris Eubank. You know what I mean? And it's kind of similar with what I'm going to be looking forward to seeing when Terrence Crawford fights against Canelo Alvarez. Does he come in the ring at 168 that night when he fights Canelo? Or not that night, that on the scale, or does he come in, 164, 165? Does he focus on being more in shape than actually being the big guy in the ring? Right. It can go either way with that fight because you also want to have that size on you just to absorb the shots, to be concerned about absorbing shots from Canelo Alvarez, but at the same time, being in shape is very important. So I'm going to be looking out for those factors as well. I also want to factor in Conor Benn's who wants it more in this fight. Seems like it's going to be a difference as well, right? The will is going to play a factor in this fight, and I say that, and I emphasize on fight because there's a boxing match aspect of this fight that makes it interesting, of this boxing match, but there's also the fight part. And I feel like the fight part of this fight gives Conor Benn, I believe Conor Benn comes in the ring with the edge on that side of the conversation. I believe the fight is with Conor Benn. The boxing match is with Chris Eubank. If this turns into a fight, I can see Conor Benn clipping Chris Eubank, and the same way Liam caught him up. It's going to be up to Chris Eubank to pick his poison as far as whether or not he's going to maintain that boxing match or whether or not he's going to join Conor Benn in the fight. And Conor Benn, at the same time, doesn't want to get caught up in a boxing match with Chris Eubank. He doesn't want to turn this into a point match. He doesn't want to turn this into a necessarily a counter punching hit and don't get hit necessarily kind of fight. He wants to press the pace, put the pressure on Eubank, test his conditioning, test that weight cut, test that rehydration clause, and do his best to test that chin. Right? I want to see him test that chin. That being said, and taking all those things in consideration, it's a 50-50 fight for me, man. I was leaning towards Chris Eubank in the beginning, but now I'm 50-50 with it. I can see Conor Benn winning this fight, man. I can see him multiple ways, and I think he's going to be the athletic one in the ring. I think the footwork is going to be on his side. I think he has great footwork. When you see him in the gym, he has great footwork, great punch combinations, punch selection, decent defense. He keeps his head off that line. Ultimately, his ability to make Chris Eubank pay in a bad way is going to make a difference in this fight. If he can make him pay and get that respect, he's heading in the right direction. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying? We got to see. I
agree.
Eubank's ability to control the pace of this fight is going to make a big difference in the fight.
I just want to put it into the perspective of he couldn't stop a 147-pounder that moved up in weight to fight him. You know what I mean? He couldn't stop both of them at 150, coming in a lot heavier than that guy, and still couldn't stop him. And when I say sluggish, I definitely mean that, because I'm known for Conor Benn to be very quick with his hand speed when he's boxing and his agility. He didn't show much of that with Pete Dobson. I actually seen more out of Jalil Hackett with Pete Dobson than I've seen with Conor Benn and Pete Dobson. Right? So with that being said, if he comes in the ring heavier and he comes in just like he did with Pete Dobson, it's over for him, especially with his mentality. Like I said, he has a evil, dark mentality, Clay, and that sometimes works for you. It works for you, but I just think when you got a guy who just looks like he doesn't have a care in the world of how you come in the ring, and you've been pressuring him and putting him like he never. It doesn't even look like he ever wanted this fight. It looked like you kept pressuring him into a fight, and then you separated his family. Like, you did so much to this dude where he's so upset right now, where he's reacting now to you saying, "Look, I got you. This is what you want. This is what you're gonna get." And I told you, it's like the little brother that keep poking his big brother. Just keep pushing him. Yo, I'm going to knock you out. Stop. And just keep going. And guess what? Boom. He gonna knock Conor Benn out, bro. And Conor Benn's gonna try to attack the body too, by the way. And I think Chris Eubank is aware of that, because Conor Benn's gonna come out. He's gonna try to use his speed to get around Chris Eubank to try to attack his liver. And I think Chris Eubanks is going to be aware that he's going to utilize a jab and step around him. And when he steps around and Conor Benn sets himself up for a hook or anything type of to the body, he's going to end up getting a chopping block to the chin from the other side, because he ain't going to really see it. And those are the ones that's going to catch him.
Yeah, I can see all those things turn out. You know what I mean? And once again, I think this is one of those fights where there's no secrets for either fighter on what's going to happen as far as what to expect. 100%. Conor Benn's going to attack that body. This man has cut a lot of weight. He's got a rehydration clause on him. He's not going to be structurally the same person that, he's going to test that. And that's like I said, testing that conditioning definitely involves attacking that body, breaking this guy down, cutting the big tree down. He's got the bigger guy in front of him, but he's got the bigger guy who arguably may not be in as good a shape as he is, who arguably may or may not have had a great weight cut. So, Chris Eubank should expect that. I'm sure he will, and it's Conor Benn's job, obviously, to get around that jab, close the void. He's the one who's at the disadvantage when it comes to the reach and all those things. So will he effectively be able to do that? Conor Benn has been a person who's always had great head movement, very Mike Tyson-ish type of energy. He gets in there. He moves his head off the line. He knows how to step in, step out, and step in, immediately afterwards, or uses lateral movement to find angles and get inside and do a lot of damage in that mid-range space. And in that mid-range space, Chris Eubank is going to be at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? If he tries to trade with him inside of there or get that respect in there, look, when you punch, you risk getting punched. Conor Benn's going to try to get that activity going on. He's going to throw punches in 2s and 3s, 3s and 4s. He's going to try to get Chris Eubank to engage with him in a melee, right? Shot for shot. And he's going to try to be faster. He's going to try to get to the point faster. He's going to try to be the straight puncher probably in this fight more than anything like that. And you know, catching him off the ropes, probably, you know, hooking off on shots, collecting points at the body, you know what I mean? Chopping. Hopefully, let's see if Chris Eubanks can weather that storm. The later this fight goes down the stretch, the more rounds that goes down the stretch, I'm going to be leaning a little bit more and more towards Conor Benn, unless Chris Eubanks able to hurt him. You know what I mean? Because I just think Conor's going to be consistent with the pressure. He's going to stay on with the pressure. He's going to stay letting the hands go. And if he's able to make Chris Eubank pay, if that power translates, Chris Eubank is going to have to come up with something, because I believe Chris Eubank is going to be more focused on winning this fight than stopping Conor Benn. And I think that could work for him, but it can also work against him, because if he becomes too reserved and caught up on hitting and not getting hit, the question is, I'll give you a perfect example, right? With Shakur Stevenson right now getting ready to fight against William Zepeda. Shakur is going to have to work with William Zepeda. He can't be overly defensive with William Zepeda. He has to score, and he has to probably be prepared to deal with this mid-range game that William Zepeda is going to be pushing. There's going to be times when that's where Shakur's at. Now, Shakur happens to work well, in my personal opinion, inside the paint. I don't see Shakur Stevenson as somebody who runs. He operates and works on the inside pretty well defensively. He you know what I mean? He does a good job. Chris Eubank, you know, this is going to be interesting to see him deal with this. I think the X factor for Chris Eubank is going to be his ability to be effective in that mid-range. The distance is clear, but I know and believe Conor Benn will be able to cross that void. There are going to be a mid-range fights from time to time in this fight, and what's going to happen in those exchanges. Conor Benn's the X factor for Conor Benn is going to be A, that power translating. I got to see what that looks like, and also B, his ability to box when he has to box in order to create the opportunity to turn into a mid-range fight. Is he going to be able to compete with Eubanks on that level? So, I mean, we're going to see. Like I said, it's 50-50. I can see how Conor Benn, I can see a path to victory for both these guys. Whereas before, I just felt like more like what you said earlier, big brother, little brother type of situation. Conor Benn just might have bit off more than he can chew. But like I said, I think that fight where there's a will type of weight energy, Conor Benn has his father in there with him. He has that support. It looks like he's just dialed in, really dialed in for this fight. And a lot of times, when you see these guys like Chris Eubank with the egg tactics, and you can tell for him, he's been trying to mentally get inside of Conor Benn's head very early. And that usually, it's good for the entertainment. It builds up the fight, but sometimes it shows up as compensation. You know what I'm saying? For weakness in another area, right? Confidence. It kind of, you know what I mean? Like, the Eastern Europeans are always so stoic because they're confident, because they believe in what they bring to the ring. They believe they're great boxers. They believe there's a path to victory for themselves. But sometimes when you try to get in the fighter's head a little too much and everything becomes a game and you're trying to get every little edge, every now and then, not always, sometimes it just is what it is, but every now and then, if that doesn't work, if Conor Benn doesn't become, because at the same time, Conor Benn is also intelligent. He has experience. He has his father behind him. His father is somebody who brings that experience also to the table to say, man, when I fought against Chris Eubank Sr., his mind games were diabolical. And you can't let this guy get in your head. You've got to stay focused on the prize. And I believe there's a very good chance that Conor's not going to be emotional in this fight. There's a very good chance that Conor Benn understands exactly what Chris Eubank was doing when he egged him, exactly what he's been doing, and he might legitimately be a more poised fighter in this fight than what people expect him to be. And this fight might just come down to the fight game, to the boxing match, to what's going on inside the ring, not necessarily the distractions that it seems that Chris Eubank is betting on. He's betting on the distractions playing their role in that fight and catching Conor Benn in an emotional state. He's betting on that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see Conor deal with that and Chris Eubank Jr. deal with who Conor is in that ring that night. Because I don't think he's necessarily guaranteed to be an emotional fighter in that ring.
We'll see. I think we got a lot of over anxious because Conor been wanting this fight too long, man. Over anxious, egg in the face. You know what I mean? Temperament. Like there's so many boxes to be checked on the negative approach for Conor Benn than there are for Eubanks. Eubanks, yes. Getting knocked down, being hurt, and things of that nature. Sometimes getting lazy in the ring. Yeah, those things happen. But like I said, he's been poked. You know what I mean? He's been poked one too many times by this guy. He's supposed to fight him, then he's just like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care if I fight. He really doesn't care. It's Conor Benn that's been chasing the emotions and the dreams of making this fight happen to create a legacy of England. He wants this fight for England. I get it. He's doing it for pride. He's doing it for his family. He's doing it for continuation of generation. So he feels. Because Eubank's like, yo, I ain't beat for none of that, bro. But you know what? You want to get this ass whooping. I'm going to show you how it is. I'm going to pull my belt off. And I'm going to beat you in the center of the ring. And you going to watch. Now, is there always a chance and always a availability of Conor Benn hitting them and catching them with something nice? Absolutely. Conor Benn is known for acting, you know what I mean, being an aggressive fighter and have some good power behind his punches. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter, does that, like you said, does that power go up with him? Doesn't matter. Is the eggs a difference? You know what I mean? That all plays a part. That's what we're going to see.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, let me ask you a question. We're talking about Conor Benn and his emotions and how he needs to keep his emotions in check, and he's the one who's going to probably be the hothead in that ring, right? But there's also a bit of an intangible that we should factor in as well about this whole situation, right? I mean, this is a family
Yes.
A fair type of situation, but we got one side of the argument, one side of the conversation that doesn't have his family behind him. Not only does he not have his family behind him, but Chris Eubank Sr. has been consistently and vehemently campaigning against this fight and his son in so many words.
Right.
There's questions there as far as how is this mentally affecting Chris Eubank Jr. Is Chris Eubank Jr. got too much on his shoulder, or is he going to be overly focused at the lack of his father's presence, or the father's campaigning and saying that he thinks he's going to lose, that he thinks that this is a fight where his life is on the line, comparing it to fights where Chris Eubank Sr. has been involved, as well as Nigel Benn has been involved, where they've changed fighters' lives, where fighters have damn near died or become crippled, you know what I mean, off of the strength of not being in the weight class they're supposed to be in, or dealing with rehydration clauses and all those things, right? How is Chris Eubank Sr. antics, campaigning, which, by the way, I'll say I think is out of line at this point.
Is he out of line? Is it head games? Is it head games for his son, or is it head games for his son's opponent?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Exactly. We don't know. I think that Chris Eubank Sr. is playing the devil's advocate on purpose. I think he's doing it to give overconfidence to Conor Benn. I think he's giving him more of a false hope to say, look.
Do you believe or not believe that him and his son are estranged?
No. I think they have their private affairs, like how is distance, but I don't think blood. I don't believe water's thicker than blood, right? Blood is always going to be thicker than water. That is his seed, and I think that he is in his son's ear. He is talking to his son about this, man. I definitely believe that he's building his son up to the right things. I think he's saying these things to mimic what his son is doing, the antics, bro. This is a play on play. Look,
if that's the case, so be it, right?
Right. But if it's not,
if it's not the case, if they're being a little bit more transparent and honest, because I got to be honest with you, they've been estranged well before this Conor Benn conversation. It's been a long time for these guys. They haven't talked in a very, very long time, based off of not the decision to put this fight together, but based on Chris Eubank Jr.'s stance on moving to another trainer and removing his father from out of the corner, being that the father is got a big ego. Now, personally, what I believe is, I think Senior has a huge ego, and I think he has a hard time not being in the spotlight. I think he's been used to being this character that he's being, and I do believe there's a character energy about the way he's been carrying himself for years. I think the whole entire Britain and standing there dressing and being the sheriff, and he's used to being admired and celebrated in the boxing space in the UK in a certain way. He's been doing this for a very long time, even with the Nigel Benn fights and the way he carried himself. Nigel Benn genuinely hates him. Nigel Benn genuinely knows this man to be a very egotistical person. And I believe that he has put Chris Eubank Jr. in his shadow. He has failed to fall back and allow his son to star. And I believe that estranged relationship is, in my opinion, real. I believe that when Chris Eubank felt and saw that becoming an issue for him, and he tried to separate and put him in not even separate, all he wanted Senior to do was fall back as far as head trainer, allow him to be more, support me as a father, let the trainer. Senior took it very personal, got in his feelings, and turned it into a I'm not even talking to my son anymore thing. Well, you disrespected me. Well, who can treat you better than me? Who can teach you better than me? It's my he's
of course.
I've been watching Senior deal with these interviews for a long time on his perspective on the issues between him and his son. And it's just more his ego saying that his name is the only reason his son is who he is. And he really feels a lack of gratuity from his son about that, right? Right. So where I'm at with it is, I think Senior's out of pocket, personally. Right? I think Senior's out of pocket. I think that him trying to sabotage this fight, trying to throw holes in this fight, trying to basically say that Junior won't win, that Junior almost can't win off the strength of he's not listening to him, that Junior can't be successful without him. I think it's toxic. I think it's an issue. I think it's mentally a bad thing for him, for Senior.
Yes.
Because you got to remember, this is real. This gets deep, right? Like his son killed himself. You know what I'm saying? One of his sons, Eubank's brother, Chris Eubank Jr.'s brother, killed himself, right? Or unalived himself. You know what I'm saying? This is a deep thing with this guy, because fighters, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, the ego works for them in certain parts when it comes to the fight game, but it works against them when they out of the fight game, because they find a hard time not being celebrated anymore. Some fighters go through that. They have a hard time not being the gods that they were treated as, not being, celebrated as much as they've been celebrated. And it gets real toxic when you have this father-son dynamic going on, to where it's time to pass the torch on, and Senior's having a hard time understanding that what's involved with passing that torch is allowing the limelight to leave you and allowing your son to be the star. And you're always looking to be extra. You're always looking to for a camera to get on you. You're always looking to this guy, and you're taking, when it comes down to taking, like if you look at Nigel Benn and his son, Nigel Benn does a great job at falling out of the picture. He wants Conor to get all the shine. He wants Conor to get all of the celebration. So Junior has been put in a position to where he's been living in the shadow and trying to fill in the shoes that he can't fill in, not to mention the losses that he's taken, his lack of accomplishment in becoming a champion. He collected IBO championship, but we know how that belt is looked at. He's still looking for his legacy, his own lane to be painted in his boxing space, and he's putting a lot of that on the back end of him being able to go ahead and dispatch of Conor Benn and opening a bunch of doors for him, one of them being Canelo Alvarez, and trying to do all these great things. Chris Eubank Jr. did an interview in the past few months where he's basically said that if he doesn't win this fight, he's done with boxing. If he can't win this fight, he's not worthy to move forward and do anything else in his career. This man has put a lot of pressure on his back, and he's put a lot of onus on this fight. This fight is very important to him. It's a fight he's supposed to win. He is the bigger guy. He has no excuses. Where Conor Benn has a father who doesn't need him to win. He just needs to compete at the highest level. He's not even going to be in his weight class. He's not even staying at 160. I think there's an argument on the other side of this conversation to say that where's Chris Eubank Jr. at mentally, and is that a safe and good mental space for him to be in going against Conor Benn?
Perfectly fine. Now, to everything you said, I got 2 words for you. Then I'm gonna come back with some good points. 2 words: Floyd Mayweather situations. Right? We're gonna leave it there. Floyd Mayweather. That's my 2 words. The situations that they've been in is the same scenarios. Yes, you have a different path of achievements and things of that nature, but let's look at what happened. They never got along, but yet they got along. They were behind the scenes. They argued a lot. They had beefs, but they love each other. They never got away from each other. They're constantly in the public eye feuding, giving each other bad taste in situations where he's kicking his dad out the gym. We have to look at these things and say, okay, is this a potential situation that's the same? Yes, they may not talk on like a comfortable basis. Their father and son. I'm pretty sure there's words.
I just want to go on record to say that
I know they said they have.
Speak.
They said they don't speak.
They speak. So you're saying that they do.
I'm pretty certain what don't speak is I don't have time for you. Like, I don't talk to my father, right? Let's keep it real. But when I see my dad, I talk to him. Like, I'm not gonna.
They don't talk to each other. According to what they said,
on the phone, but we're in the same space. We have a small conversation, and we just do our thing.
I just want to be clear. Right? I hear what you're saying. I want to be very clear that they've spoke, both of them, and it's clear that they do not speak. Zero communication. There was an actual. I'm just saying, you can see.
I know what you're saying.
And you're disregarding what they're saying. You're saying it's a game. You're saying they're actually.
I don't think it's a game.
Like, well, I don't know, because you kind of painted it as this like ploy or tactic or strategic move to convince Conor Benn's side to be more confident.
For Senior's part, yes. For Senior's part.
I just want to be clear on record that they say they don't speak to each other. And matter of fact, they recently were in each other's presence on Harlem Eubank's the cousin's fight, and that Chris Eubank went to speak to his father, and the conversation was so awkward they spoke of nothing and they walked away. Right? He tried to. He said that was the first time. I'm saying that Eubank Jr. said that was the first time that they seen each other and had a chance to speak to each other, and he tried to break the ice because he wants the father to be involved in it, and the father wasn't very receptive at all to him.
Sounds like Floyd Sr. Floyd Jr. Am I not mistaken?
No.
Yes, because Floyd, listen.
Remember,
Floyd Sr. walked away because he chose his uncle. Floyd Sr. walked away because he chose his uncle because he was locked up, right? And he kept rocking with his uncle, right? He kept rocking with Roger. Roger kept taking them places. Nate taking places. Floyd was very uncomfortable with that, right? He's my son. I took him there. He's on record saying it. Went and coached other fighters to fight against his son. But yet they stayed true and blue to each other, even though they had their differences and they had fallouts multiple times, publicly, behind the scenes, wherever the case may be. Yes, and this situation is a tight one, Clay. But I think that the rivalry between Benn and Senior is so big that he's willing to not talk to his son, but still give him the edge by saying things publicly to make Conor Benn feel a little confident and believe that he doesn't have his back. Of course he has it. Man, that's his son. Regardless of what we think, a father can be as mad at his kids as ever. He's still his dad. He's still going to have love for his kid. He still raised that kid. So you don't have to be happy and you choose to do certain things and not be in their life, but you still love that guy. You're still going to support him. You're going to do whatever you can behind the scenes to give him an edge. And he wants that win for his son. Regardless of how we look at it, He wants that win. He's just filibustering all this side to to Conor Benn and Nigel Benn to get their head in the game. Like, yo, he only had the support over there. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Look at him. He's supporting us, and that guy don't even like me. Yo, you're going to see that he's going to represent somehow, some way. He's going to be in that corner of Chris or some type of words in after or before the fight where you're going to, I'm telling you, it's crazy. But I could be wrong, but I'm just telling you, I think it's a mind game for the other side.
Okay.
What's up, Blue?
It is what it is. We'll see, right? We'll see. As far as the Floyd Mayweather thing, it was just very different, right? Because one thing that was key that you said was that Floyd threw Senior out the gym, right? What does that mean? It means Senior was in the gym. He was regularly around his son. He was there. There was a communication.
I hear you.
It was just a relationship with Roger Mayweather was able to go ahead and get Floyd across the top. He didn't need Senior there, not to mention that Senior was locked up for a minute. This is a very different situation. This is a situation to where, and Senior was not a star. Floyd Mayweather Jr. wasn't living in the shadow of his father. He just wasn't, right? At the end of the day, more importantly, what was happening with Floyd Mayweather Jr. was that the father was trying to come and be something that he wasn't, where Junior already had leveled up to a certain level in the space. When it comes to this Chris Eubank Sr. and Junior relationship, what's happening is very different. It just is. It's different on the sense that Senior, his ego, you can see it. He wears it literally on his collar with that damn badge that he has on his shoulder. That is his ego. That star, that sheriff badge that he wears is his ego. It's what he can't let go of. It's his boxing career. It's all of the celebration that he got when he was a fighter. It's him not being able to let go of that chapter in his life and embrace the new chapter in his life, which is called being a father, which is called supporting my son, no matter what. Boxing is a dangerous sport. To continue to sit there and throw out this narrative that Junior's life is in danger for fighting in a weight class that he's been fighting in for years. He's been fighting at 160. This is his weight class, as Ray mentioned earlier. This is not him cutting down the 154 or 147. To keep on turning this into that type of conversation is a literal act of sabotage. It's because he's not part of the campaign that Junior is running right now. He's not part of this big legacy-driven spectacle of a fight that's going on that Turkey Al-Sheikh is financing. The whole city is rumbling about Junior and what he's going to do against Conor Benn, and Senior can't deal with the idea of him not being the face of this whole entire situation. Junior made a legitimate move because he saw his father could not play the back seat like he should be doing. Like Conor Benn's father, Nigel Benn, is doing, like other fathers are trying to do, and other fathers who aren't doing, we call them out on it all the time. Example, Floyd, Schofield Jr. and Sr., and the way he can't remove himself and allow his son to become his own person, right? Some people call out Bill Haney for doing the same thing. I happen to think it's a little different, but I see where they're coming from because Bill does choose to be on that microphone way more than Devin. At the same time, I see Bill celebrate Devin, calling Devin the boss, calling Devin, saying he works for his son, saying Devin owns his own thing, and trying to push Devin forward in a way that Devin won't push himself at. But in this situation, you got a son in Chris Eubank Jr. who wants to be up front, who wants to take over, who wants to speak for himself, who wants to be the one celebrated, and Senior can't move out the way. He just can't do it. And now it's getting to the point to where he's legitimately throwing shots, tearing this fight down. He's literally said this fight is not going to happen. He called for the fight not to happen the first time with Conor Benn. Conor Benn popped on the test. He said he knew the fight wasn't going to go on. So he took ownership, and he wanted to be celebrated for being this soothsayer, this guy who can tell the future, and calling out this fight not happening. And he's been on a campaign ever since, doing interviews, opening up a podcast, doing hour hour and a half to 2 hour long interviews on this subject, over talking even the people who are interviewing him. He's a narcissist. He's egotistical to the max.
I
And
agree.
Junior has made the point to separate himself from his father in that way. And the father has dealt with it, not by being humble and saying, all right, that's how you feel. I'm going to support you in the way I can support you. I'm going to stand in the background where you want me. Junior wants him there, says, I want my father there to be my father. I want him to cheer me on. I want him to give me advice and training, but I want him to accept the changes and the adjustments I've made in my camp and respect the fact that I'm being a grown man, that I'm making these decisions, not only respected, but I wouldn't mind you being proud of me, ultimately becoming the man that you raised me to be an independent, strong man who's making my own decisions for myself and respect. Oh, what do you do instead of doing that? You cut me down on every platform. You cut me down and you say I'm making the worst decisions. You tell me I can't be a champion without you. You say you won't support me. You'll never stand behind me. And you've turned this great fight that the city's been looking for, you've turned it into a disgrace to boxing. You've turned it into what I'm doing is disgraceful to your legacy, to what you taught me to be. You've turned this fight into something nasty and unclean and not honorable. Why would you do that? You do that because your ego is out of control. And
I agree.
Support Chris Eubanks Jr.'s stance. You make it make more sense as time goes by. People can see more and more and more clearly and transparently why Junior is separating himself from you. Because if this is the way you're going to deal with your son making a decision for himself as a grown man, a fully grown 30-plus-year-old man, you're acting like this, then of course we understand where he's coming from. Now the question is Eubank dealing with this in a very in the most healthy way he can, and is it going to affect him positively, negatively in this fight? We'll find out on Saturday.
Yes, and I'm going to reiterate everything you just said. Sound just like Floyd Sr. and Floyd Jr. for the most part. So aside from the fact that Floyd was more receptive to his dad's illness, and I don't mean that being sick. I'm saying like his narcissistic ways to Eubanks not accepting his dad's ways. I'm telling you, bro, it's a very similar situation, and I think Chris is more understanding. Like, yo, when he comes around, he comes around. I don't care either way. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. Like you just said, he's figuring he's a grown man. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. If his dad wants to buy in, he's gonna buy in. If he not, he not. But as far as his dad goes, just like Floyd Sr. did say, look, I taught my son everything. He did everything. I did this for my son. He wouldn't be able to do this for the show without me. This and that, taking credit for a lot of stuff. Chris Eubanks is putting a lot of that onus on himself, and he's doing it outside of that with the same point of he's just putting all the pressure on himself and taking a lot off of Chris. If you don't see it or not, I think he's taking a lot of pressure off of Chris. He don't put Chris under pressure. He's taking a lot off, and I think that he's also putting the spotlight on himself. That's what I mean. He's putting the spotlight on himself to be the center of attention, and he's doing it in the fact that he's even willing to say that his son is nothing without him. So yes, it's a lot of weird shit going on there, Clay. But at the end of the day, it's a very similar situation, and I could see them both coexisting, and I could see this being a play. I think this is the same thing we're going to see that the Oscar De La Hoya thing happened when Floyd Sr. went and coached Oscar De La Hoya into the ring, brought him in as his head trainer, and still got whipped and say, no, man, I'm going to train him. He's going to be better than you. It's the same thing. Did he set Oscar up? I don't know. But at the same time, it made Floyd fight better. And I think this is one of those situations where Chris Eubanks Sr. is giving benefit a little bit towards Conor Benn in this part of the fight to make Chris Eubanks Jr. fight better. Might have said that right. Conor Benn, I'm sorry. But
yeah, I definitely I don't see
that. Right. That's how I see it. I could be wrong.
No, I hear you. I don't see it that way. I think it's genuine. I don't think it's tactic. I don't think it's strategic driven. I don't think Senior is moving. I think that might be a byproduct of what's happening.
Can I ask you one question real quick before you start? Do you think he likes his son? And just be being honest. Do you think he appreciates his son more than he appreciates Nigel Benn?
Do I think he appreciates his son more?
Like I'm saying, like if he had to choose between them publicly, right? Who do you think he's going to choose?
What do you mean? Who's he going to choose?
But I'm saying, like, if he has to represent one of them publicly, who is he going to represent?
Represent his son, probably.
Exactly. So why not filibuster? Why not filibuster this dude and make him feel like he's bigger than what he is, and he don't care over there, and then make I'm telling you, Clay, you see.
We got 37 people in the building. Please remember to hit the likes, man. I know the conversation is intriguing, and you guys are dialed in.
We are here,
but we definitely arguing. We arguing.
Put it up, man. We arguing for y'all. No, I'm just kidding. Go off display.
Being dialed in, you know what I'm saying. Please remember to hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, take the time to do it.
Do it, man.
I think everything. Everything that you're saying may happen as a byproduct of something toxic that's happening.
Yes.
And I think what I'm saying more so is I don't want at all to play this game of thinking that Senior is moving with resolve to affect this fight in a positive way. He's not.
No.
He is being genuinely narcissistic. He's
doing
being genuinely egotistical. He's genuinely, in my opinion, jealous of his son's where his son is at, and he wants to still be in his heyday. He's still caught up in who he was years ago. Now, can Junior process this toxic energy his father's putting out there as some sort of motivation for himself, as something positive that drives him to be a better fighter? Of course he can, and that will be a celebration and an acknowledgement of Junior's mental fortitude and Junior's ability to overcome and be a successful story. And I emphasize, in spite of his father's attempts. So that being said, fine, right?
Yes.
The question was and still is, how is this affecting Chris Eubank Jr.
It doesn't.
Positively or negatively? If he's processing it the way that you're selling it, then it's a positive thing that he's for, and it's going to drive him to be the better fighter in that ring. But if he allows this pressure and what his father is doing, this toxic energy his father is putting out into the air and preying on the downfall of this fight, then this can also work in a very negative way for Chris Eubank in the fight.
I agree.
A fighter who's got the support and who's as motivated and driven to perform and hurt Chris Eubank as Conor Benn is. It can be a very complicated night for him if he's not processing it well.
I agree.
I will say up until this point, I love how Chris Eubank Jr. has been dealing with these issues. I love what he's been saying. I like how he's been dealing with it. I thought the egg thing was a bit of a reach, but once again,
it was funny. Ain't no reach. There was a reach right across the
I feel like it was a reach as far as I liked it. I'm gonna
it was good. Great publicity.
I thought it was good for the fight. I thought it was good for the edge. I think Ben he put. I think what he did was he shared the mental stress and pressure with Conor Benn. He shared it with him, right? He said, "You're carefree over there. You've got your father. It seems like you're living your best life. I'm actually dealing with shit. I've got my brother's death. I've got that I'm not completely over. I've got his daughter that I'm raising as my own. I've got my father who's tearing down this fight and tearing me down. I'm dealing with a bunch of stuff. You seem to be living carefree. Take an egg across the top of your head. Now you deal with the pressure. You deal with the pressure of you calling a PED abuser. You deal with the pressure of wanting to avenge this egg in your face. You deal with the pressure of wanting to do something to me that you can't do to me until you're screwed." And I like that. I think that works out. But once again, Ray, I'm going to be 100 with you.
You keep it there.
It's also an acknowledgement of the pressure that he's going through. It's also an acknowledgement and an understanding of this isn't easy for me. I'm dealing with a lot. And I think he's been very poised through it. But at the same time, it doesn't mean it's not affecting him. We just
I think you nailed something. I think he is dealing with a lot of pressure. But I think he's a boxer, right? What do they deal with the most? Pressure. They deal with competition. They're mano a mano. They're in the ring by themselves. So I think pressure is a second hand to them. As far as him dealing with his dad, I really think that he doesn't really care. He already accepted the fact of what his dad is doing is just to build it, just keep his name relevant outside of him because he wants to be connected. And I think he already accepted that. That's why I said I see the same thing with Floyd. Floyd accepted the fact that he don't need his father. He can do it on his own. He became pretty boy. He left when he left his dad. And he was like, I can do this by myself. My dad is who my dad is. I love my dad, but my dad's going to do things to make himself bigger than me, and he can't. I am now the guy that's in the ring. My dad is retired. And I think this is what Chris Eubanks is doing as he's doing all these antics. He's building the fight. He's taking Conor Benn by storm. Conor Benn his brain is fuming right now. Like, he wants a taste of punching this dude in the face so bad, he can't wait. And guess what? His anticipation is going to be anxiousness, and that anxiousness is going to cost him to a guy that's being patient and dealing with stuff outside of boxing, because he's dealing with all this stuff outside of boxing. He's ready mentally when he gets in that ring, because that's going to shut out that world, and it's going to be mano-a-mano, Clay, at that point. And this is what's going down. Chris Eubanks, boom. No, just please.
No. Listen. It's very possible. I like it, man. But let me ask you this, and then we can move on. Is it possible that what Conor Benn's been going through for the past 2 years, dealing with the allegations, spending all this money, living in this stress-free space, that Conor Benn also may show up with a lot of more mental fortitude than you giving him credit for being able to do?
Nope. You know why? We just seen him fight 2 fights since. In both of those fights, one of them he stopped the guy, TKO, and the other one went to a decision. They both were over the weight limit. I'm just saying.
Who, Conor Benn? Conor Benn fought one fight.
He fought in Florida. Don't forget he fought in Florida, Clay. And he fought in what is the other one? He fought in Vegas and Florida. So he fought 2 fights in the United States. And let's just keep it real. He got the TKO on his first fight back. And then the second fight he came back.
Yeah, in 2023 he fought in September.
And the second fight he came back, he basically looked like a sloth in the ring. And like I said, you may look at it as, maybe he was active, he was doing his thing, but it looked like he got tired because of the weight. It looked like he slowed down, like he got a little, like he wasn't able to adjust. You see what I'm saying? That's why I say he looked a little sluggish. It looked like he slowed down later in the fight, like he burnt himself out. Moving up in weight is going to be a similar situation. He's been off a while. Now, maybe that weight acclimated to him. We don't know. But I got a feeling, as they say, the Black Eyed Peas said, that this is going to be Chris Eubanks' night. And he's going to celebrate it. And when he does, I wouldn't be surprised if his dad gets interviewed and says, I know my son can do this. I trained him so well.
Senior doesn't shock me at all.
You know what I mean? I taught him well, but he should listen to me more. But anyway, back to who he at.
That part. We're gonna find out, man. The intangibles are in place. The fight is growing a lot of legs, a lot of teeth. It grew on me. It wasn't a fight that I cared so much about in the beginning, but now as we get closer to it, I'm very interested in seeing it. I like the story behind it. I love the fathers, but the estranged father on one side, the supportive father on the other side, the passionate son, you know what I mean? The revenge for the egg, the independent son who's trying to prove his manhood and get the respect of his father. I love it. The country's behind it. The Grand Arrivals has been great. They had a face-off yesterday. You saw the seriousness, and both of them are dialed in. Junior had a bit of a as he always does, has a bit of a lighthearted humor always about him, just to kind of like poke at that,
no pressure
with his
Pressure.
arrogance.
No pressure.
I mean? And Conor Benn not smiling, keeping it 100, that I'm focused, I'm not playing with you. I love it, man. I want to see the fight, man. I don't know who wins. It's a 50-50 fight. I really am in it right now. No, it's definitely 50-50 for me. I can see Conor Benn doing something. I want to see how the weight cut in the rehydration clause has treated Eubank Sr. I think Conor Benn's going to hit that chin. I think he's going to hit him a couple of times, and his ability to weather that storm is going to make a big difference on how this fight goes. That mid-range fight, like I said, Conor Benn's stoicism, his ability to stay emotionally in check and be a disciplined fighter in that ring is going to play a big role. There's a whole lot of things going on, man. I think the fight just close, man. And I can't wait to see what it turns into. Also on that card, we've got Anthony Yardi making his return into the light heavyweight space. He's going to be fighting against Lyndon Arthur. I believe his name is Lyndon Arthur. Yeah. If you guys remember, Lyndon Arthur fought Dimitri Bivol, I believe it was. Yeah, he fought Dimitri Bivol, Riyadh card a few years back. Lost his IBO title at that time to Dimitri Bivol. A pretty good fighter. This Anthony Yardi returning, trying to get into the big conversations. You got David Benavidez, his father, who I spoke to earlier this week, who said that he's looking at Anthony Yardi as a potential fight. He wants to put it together. He said it was either Anthony Yardi, Caleb Smith, or Zurdo Ramirez. So a lot of opportunities for Anthony Yardi based on how he performs in this fight against Lyndon B. Arthur. How do you feel about the return of Anthony Yardi?
Long time coming. I'm glad this is a perfect fight for him. I was talking to Ryan Frazier last night, and I told him this is a good comeback fight. I wouldn't be ashamed if he took 2 fights. I mean, for the layoff that he had, why not get your feet acclimated and back? We don't want to see you take 1 fight and then try to climb right into the championship space. Right. Take a tune-up like this with good competition or solid. Let's use the word solid. Solid competition helps you prepare yourself for the next level, right? So he don't need to jump to, take this fight if he wins and jump three levels ahead. Just take another fight at the same level. Get your feet wet, get comfortable, do that little year dance thing, come back this time next year, put yourself in that position. Absolutely. Yardi looks like he could come back. Yard. He looks like he can come back. It looks like he can be that a guy that we all expected him to be. The losses were really tough losses. It wasn't like he was like dominated and crazy. I think he got knocked KO'd once. But other than that, he's a decent fighter, bro. Like he's really about that boxing. So I would like to see him back in the ring and sum it all up. Take on 2 fights like he is right now and move forward into win those good fights.
Keep in mind that he has 3 losses on his record, right? One of them is against Lyndon Arthur, right? He already lost to Lyndon Arthur back in 2020. He lost against him in a split decision. Right. So Arthur has that edge on him. This is a good redemption fight for Anthony Yardi. Very symbolic. Anthony Yardi came off of a nice little vacation from boxing as he was dealing with, outside of the ring court stuff that had to do with boxing. You know what I mean? Him getting out of his relationship with whatever promotional company he was with. I don't know if it was, I want to say it might have been Queensberry with Frank Warren, but whatever it was, he's making his return. This is going to be a 12-round fight. Anthony Yardi's kind of.
You think he's overrated?
No. I don't think he's overrated. I do think that he took a while to translate into 12-round fights. He's a lot of 10-round fights. You know what I'm saying? And he's got the experience. He did a 12-round fight with Artur Benavidez until he ended up getting stopped in that fight. Got outclassed there. And
that was bad, bro. That was a bad look. I don't think he didn't look right though coming into that fight. I don't know if it was nerves or he just didn't train well or.
I just think the power didn't translate as well as he wanted it to.
Right.
Better be able to weather that storm and ultimately be able to come back with his own power. I think threw him off.
Was it 6th round?
It was the 8th.
8th round? Yeah, I knew it was mid-fight. Yeah, because it was start off pretty decent, back and forth. A lot of people thought Yardi was going to win that fight, believe it or not.
Right.
I remember watching that on ESPN. That didn't look good at all. But it is what it is.
No doubt. I think this is a good redemption fight for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm excited to see what he's going to look like coming back. Is the ring rust going to be an issue? They're talking big talk. They're talking big talk for him and a big future for him. A lot of opportunities out there. If he's able to come off, with a good victory here, he gets right back into the championship.
It's a good step up fight. You know what I mean? A little revenge fight. A good revenge tour fight. You know what I mean? A good fight to get the feet wet. Going from I'm talking about getting back into the ring, the ring of things, get his feet wet in this fight, going from there to whatever a next opponent, whoever it may be, somebody decent. There not be nobody crazy. You know what I mean? Like I said, you don't need to leap up to the top. Just stay where you're at for now, get 2 fights in, and then move into position for championships. Because I think it'll build him up better, man. He'll feel more appreciated. He'll get his feet under him. And if he loses, look, he got 3 wins under his belt before he got to that point. So, you know what I mean? That can't be a sight for sore eyes so much, right? But here's the case. The question I have for you is this another fighter who said it's time for me to take boxing serious again? See what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. Why weren't you taking it serious the first time? What made you stop
taking it serious? Did you feel like
no, I'm saying, is this another case of that?
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? Like him coming back right now, is this him saying this to himself? Because a lot of fighters do say that.
Did you feel like he wasn't taking it serious?
I think he got to a point where once he got a second loss, he was just like, I can beat these guys. Like his mind is mental, like I'm a better fighter than his opponent. Then he got back into that championship fight and look human, let's just say, right? And then from there, where we go? You know what I mean? You got a guy, he beat a guy in points, and then he got back in, and that's it. So let's see what he got, man. Let's see what he got. It's been almost 8 months. And before that, I think it was almost a year or so, right? Yeah.
Oh damn! I just wow! I forgot that he already KO'd Lyndon Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
They fought. This is gonna be the 3rd time they're fighting. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow!
Mm-hmm.
I didn't forget. I didn't know. I didn't pay attention. He knocked Lyndon Arthur out. Back in he rematched Lyndon Arthur and knocked him out in a year later from that TKO loss. So this is not a redemption fight for him. This is a redemption fight for Lyndon Arthur.
This is a step. What do you call it? The stamp. The case closed fight. It's still redemption, bro. He still got to get his rocks off.
Well, it's a redemption for him coming back into boxing,
right?
Not back in the box, but becoming active again and getting in these conversations. So it's a big fight for him. It is a big fight.
Yes, it's a big fight. And then like I said, who does he fight next? He goes in there and fights somebody else next that he can next
there's an argument to say that he'll be there with David Benavidez.
But why would you jump that far with this fight under your belt? Like 8 months out, you come into a fight, and then I guess you can. I don't know.
Listen, without a question, in my personal opinion,
you're gonna say take the championship fight. Why wait?
I think that Anthony Yardi is going to take that fight because I think Anthony Yardi's wasted some time and he's trying to get back in the conversation. I don't think he sits back unnecessarily. I think he's either at this point at 26 fights, 24 knockouts, 3 losses, 2 of them by knockouts or being stopped himself.
You're right.
It's barbecue time, right?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. You're right. I just think the way that the months go like this in boxing, he can get another fight in and then make this fight next year sometime. Get on a Riyadh card or something else.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Time is not on his side. You know what I mean? So I don't think
you're right. No, you're right. That's what I say. You're right. You know what? I didn't think of that, Clay. You know what I mean? I know you were like, the opportunity comes, you got to take it. Yes, absolutely. But I think he should slow pace himself. Me personally think he should slow pace himself into that fight. Like one fight, this fight, next fight, and then go for it. That's my opinion. But if he gets the opportunity, I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm going to say jump at it. You never know. You know what I mean? A blind squirrel can find his nuts. Pause. But anyway, it is what it is.
Right.
Dead fox right twice a day. So hey,
right. I think that it's barbecue mildew time for Anthony Yardi. It's either you are him or you're not him at this point. Time's down his side. He's 33 years old. If you're going to take an opportunity to become a champion again, even chase unifications and undisputed and big money fights and things of that nature, this is the time to do it. One might argue that he's a year or 2 past his prime, or maybe in his prime right now. So this time, I've always said for fighters, they have a window of when they're their best versions of themselves. Not everybody's an Artur Beterbiev who can be doing great things at 40 years old, 39, getting ready to be 41, being the biggest fights of his life. Most people, I think, want to take advantage of these prime years. This is his prime year. So, it'll be interesting to watch. It's a fight I'm definitely keeping my eye on. But that being said, though, staying inside of the light heavyweight division, putting David Benavidez back where, what is the light heavyweight division? Are you even talking about the division if you're not talking about David Benavidez right now, who's been upgraded to a full WBC champion, courtesy of Mauricio Sulaiman and the politics of boxing? Regardless, doesn't take away from, the caliber of fighter that David Benavidez is. Now as a champion looking to have his first title defense, word is he's trying to be active and have a fight this summer. That's what Jose Benavidez Sr. said as well. And speaking to him, that he wants David to fight this summer. But look, what fights are going to be available? Clearly, Better Beef and Bivol are not on the table, which is the biggest fights that could be made in the division. What is available and what Jose Benavidez Sr. has communicated is the interest of David Benavidez is to get into a fight with either a Caleb Smith or an Anthony Yardi or even, a Zurdo Ramirez, right? These are fighters that's crazy to get involved with right now. One would argue, and listen, like I said with Blue yesterday, I think I talked about on this channel as well, that this isn't necessarily the play that the Benavidez is wanting to execute so much as the cards they were dealt, right? But it does put David Benavidez into a box situation, inside of a box. I like that, exactly, inside of a box per se, to say that right now he's kind of arguably burnt some bridges with Turki Al-Sheikh. Turki Al-Sheikh has been running the light heavyweight and heavyweight division arguably for the past 2 years, right? For the year and a half, 2 years. He's been coordinating and slowly moving pieces in the right space to get it to a point to where it was undisputed, to an undisputed title was happened for Artur Beterbiev and now Dimitri Bivol. And now Mauricio Sulaiman has used them as some sort of chess piece to slight Dimitri Bivol. But at the same time, the opportunity of becoming undisputed still seems to be closer to the side of Turki Al-Sheikh than David Benavidez, meaning that David Benavidez has upgraded one of the titles. So Caleb Smith sits there, and supposedly contact has been made to try to make a fight between him and David Benavidez. He's weighing out options carefully. From what sources are saying, he didn't seem so enthusiastic about the fight. I think David Benavidez is probably the bigger threat as far as versus reward, if that makes any sense, right?
Okay.
Where do you think Caleb Smith goes with this, and what do you think David Benavidez ultimately ends up in this situation as far as what's the more realistic fight that can be made that we can see David Benavidez in with that opponent during the summertime?
I love what Blue said yesterday. Why would I wait around for one belt when I can go fight for 3 and be unified? Why? Caleb Smith has the easiest path to unification, and David Benavidez can be sitting there all by lonesome and nobody has to care. None of them guys have to fight him again because of the situation that the WBC put out there. They can't force the fight because they're both champions. There's no force in that. You know what I mean? There's no mandatory to that. Why not go get 3 belts if I can at Caleb Smith, or attempt to get 3 belts? Because you want that rematch with Beterbiev. So if he wins, that's a dead given. Yeah, I want that fight. If it's Bivol, somebody I never fought before, listen, I might got a shot. Let me go get these belts. Let's just say he wins those belts. Now who's on the outside? Who has the leverage? Who has the money? Who's going to come see me? Oh, now the tables have turned. So I don't want to fight you, bro. Go over there, go fight Bivol, go fight one of them guys that you just, go give them a shot for your belt. Because now they're the biggest name for you. I'm the champ, bro. I can go move any way I want. And that's why I said I think Caleb Smith's options have outweighed. He can take another fight with somebody else, and he can move any way he wants right now. And I think that's crazy that he has the opportunity for 3 belts over 1, and he can take that option because the fact that Benavidez got hungry, sloppy, whether it's Mauricio Sulaiman, Samson Ligowitz, whether it's Benavidez camp, whatever the case may be, whoever has made this decision, PBC, whatever, they messed this man up. They messed David Benavidez up. They got hungry, and they thought they were doing the right thing and starved themselves out. They took themselves out the box and put themselves in their own box, and now they got to go defend that belt to whoever wants it because they don't need it. Mm-hmm. 3's always better than 1, Clay.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is a very interesting situation that David Benavidez and his team has found themselves in. I think Mauricio Suleiman's move was not in the spirit of helping David Benavidez, clearly. Caleb Smith, not only is the opportunity to unify as far as legacy is there for him with Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, but I think ultimately we got to remember that Caleb Smith was on the back end of entertaining retiring. On the back end of that loss with Beterbiev, he pretty much felt like he there was conversations even that Liam said, his brother, where it was like, we don't know, I mean, if it's worth moving forward. Caleb Smith has been known as a prize fighter. He gets paid pretty well in the UK. He's one of the higher paid fighters in the UK. We might not be familiar with him here in America per se, but he's one of those fighters who doesn't get in the ring for a little bit of bread. He's not legacy driven like everybody else might think he is. He's very prize driven. And the prize is clearly, when we're talking the money game is over there with Turkey. The most money he can make is with Turkey. And if they're going to pay him something that's going to compete with Turkey, I think that puts them at a disadvantage, being that their budget, as much as people would want to say we're hating or whatever have you, it's limited over there a little bit. They got to be aware of getting that money back. When they put money out, they're thinking about the return. They're thinking about the pay-per-view. They're thinking about how it sells out in the stadium. They're thinking about David Benavidez's cut, the fact that he's a fighter who's sitting at about $5-10 million guaranteed at this point to make fights. Is it worthwhile to pay Caleb Smith probably the $3 to $5 million guaranteed he's going to be requiring to make this fight happen, in comparison to the fact that, and where do I come up with $3 to $5 million? I'm coming up with that number based off the fact that Turkey's probably offering this man $3 to $5 million or more. You know what I mean? Probably more than that to get
euros, right? So it's probably more.
Yeah, and not to mention just, the bag is going to be significant because he's putting them in there with Dimitri Bivol or Artur Beterbiev, one of those guys. He stands to make a lot of money. So where does Caleb Smith go? Caleb Smith, I believe, goes wherever the money's at. And I think the money's at Turkey Al-Sheikh. I don't think that David Benavidez and Samson Likowitz can compete with Turkey in that conversation. If Turkey wants it, he'll pay for it and make it happen. The only reason David Benavidez and Dimitri Bivol is not happening on the platform with Turkey is because Turkey walked away from it and said, I'm not going to bid on the fight. Let's not get it twisted. It's because he said, I'm not interested in it. That's what made it possible for those guys to put up some money. Other than that, it wouldn't have happened. Turkey could have easily snatched that off the table and made them fight in Saudi Arabia for that title. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So that being said, if it's not Caleb and the money is with Caleb, then I think the likeliness is that's probably heading in this direction. I think that there's a good likeliness that we're going to see him go up to cruiserweight, which is going to be diabolical because it's like, why take that light heavyweight title and be upgraded if you're not going to even fucking defend it? You're going to go to cruiserweight to go fight for somebody else's title. What was the use in making that move happen? Now, on the back end of Anthony Yardi dispatching of Lyndon Arthur, maybe they make that fight happen. Maybe they give Anthony Yardi an opportunity at becoming a champion. Who knows, right? I don't know. Maybe not. But I think the money, I think it makes more sense with Zurdo. I think Zurdo takes the lower pay than Anthony Yardi. I think Zurdo operates with Oscar De La Hoya. I think it's an easier negotiation to put together. I think Anthony Yardi's over there in the UK. I just think it's a different conversation. So I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm leaning towards the Zurdo Ramirez fight probably being the fight that David Benavidez gets involved with for the summer.
Zurdo?
I do. I'm leaning towards Zurdo, man. Maybe Yardi takes it. Maybe Yardi takes it on the strength of winning a belt. I could see him taking the fight.
But what does Benavidez do between there? Does he wait?
Well, no, actually lines up good. Yardi's fighting Saturday. We're in April, May, June, July. July fight. July. August, maybe even. It can happen. I think that lines up with Yardi. I think Yardi can make it happen in that time period.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I'm still leaning towards Zurdo Ramirez just because I heard when I spoke to Jose, he said they're currently negotiating.
That's crazy.
That's what he said.
Bro, he goes up, he's either going to come down and lose or he's going to stay up. If he lose, he's going to come back down.
Yeah, but it's going to mess with him regardless.
Right.
I think the jump between light heavyweight and cruiserweight is diabolical in comparison to all the other weight classes. It's 25 pounds, bro, to the next weight class. That's crazy. That's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like middleweight to super middleweight, 8 pounds. You know what I mean? Welterweight to super welterweight.
7, right.
7 pounds, right? Exactly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 25 pounds to go
Crazy.
up to 25 and then expect to come back down to 25 and compete at light heavyweight? I don't know, bro.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Hey, you only get older, right? You get older, you start moving up in divisions. So,
and that metabolism goes crazy.
That's what I'm saying. You start moving up in divisions because you can't. But I don't know, man. I don't think that flurry of punches a work up there, bro. It's big guys up there. Pause.
Yeah. Well, they got history supposedly in the gym. They supposedly
I heard.
Yeah,
that's why he's picking him.
Right.
That's why he ain't picking Bayou Jack. That's why he's not picking exactly Obatai, right? What you don't know, you don't test.
100%. Yeah, yeah. So that being said, moving on, the WBA wants in and demands activity, Ray. The WBA wants in, man. They see the WBC having Grand Prix and everybody fighting for the belt. They see the WBO doing their own things. They see the IBF calling out for mandatories. They see people being stripped of their titles, and they see money being made, and they're not seeing their belt in the conversation enough. You know, they're not getting that 3%, so they want to get in these conversations. And over this week, well, yesterday, really, I feel like, well, yeah, right, like yesterday.
Are they supporting the boxing tournament thing, or where the league?
No. It's Grand Prix or WBC. That's
the league, not the Grand Prix. Because a lot of people walk away from the league.
You talking about what Turkey's doing with?
Yeah, the ring league or whatever that is. I call it the ring league, but
wait, no, okay, you're not talking
the league with Dana White. Yes, Turkey's league. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's TKO, right?
I thought it was. Okay, TKO. Does WBA get involved in that?
I don't think so.
But they want in, right? They want some way to get in. That's a good way to get in.
I mean, I guess, but Dana White made it kind of clear he's not working with the sanctioned bodies. That's what he said.
Right. Okay. All right. So, that's Dana White. Okay. That's right. Sometimes that stuff goes out the window when Brad start walking in. But
maybe that's what I'm saying.
I got you.
I don't know. I don't know if that's what they'll do. Maybe they will, but right now it seems like Dana's kind of spoken on it in a different way. But what they're doing is getting involved in these fights, right? One of them being Jerome Boots Ennis, has been ordered by the WBA to defend his title. He's trying to get in that. I don't think there's no coincidence that Jerome Boots Ennis has grown in star power. Turkey Al Sheikh seems to be interested, I hope, still in Jerome Boots Ennis's career, and there's big money there, big fights that are going to get lined up that are going to take a lot of money. They've seen Jerome Boots Ennis get Stanionis a substantial amount of money to fight and defend his WBA title. Now that Jerome Boots Ennis is a lineal unified champion, his next couple fights are probably going to be for some decent paydays. And what they're doing is, in my opinion, is they're getting in the way and they're getting their belt involved in the conversation. So that being said, ordered to fight Shakram Giasov. We saw him fight on the Boots Ennis card. Saw him dispatch of I can't remember who he fought, but he looked pretty good. Looked pretty damn good. You know how these Eastern Europeans carry it. Lost his daughter like a month ago. And all the motivation in the world, but more importantly, looked good in the ring. They ordered a title shot. Did you get a chance to see Giasov put in the work?
I probably did. Probably didn't care too much about it, but it depends. Like I said, I'm looking at competition and fights playing. I'm pretty sure I think that opponent had a couple of losses. It looked like more of a journeyman. It didn't look like it was a stellar competition. So it is what it is.
Right. They've ordered that fight for Boots Ennis next. Also moving on, they've also ordered Gary Antoine Russell to go and defend his title with Andy Hiroka in Japan. He'll be out there with Brian Norman and those guys. This will be a PBC, part of that whole PBC top rank coming together to put fights together situation here. This will be on a top rank card. I've seen Andy Hiroka fight before. I think he's a great puncher. You know what I mean? It'll be a good fight. I would expect Gary Antoine to handle his
dismantling this kid.
Huh?
Dismantling this guy. This guy's he's very Pacquiao-like. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? He's very, very quick, very fast, punches quick in and outs. But all that jumping in and out ain't gonna work for you in this fight, bro. Sorry. Antoine gonna stop him.
Yeah, I would expect him to.
Yeah.
That's why I would expect him to. I would pick.
Yeah,
I
don't even know how you even ordered this guy. Like,
well, look, man, the WBA wants to get in on the money. They want to get in the conversation of being in part of these fights.
Yeah, I mean, lucky it's happening in Japan. That's the only way they're gonna make money on this, Clay.
Right.
Just
Well,
keep it a buck.
And then I think the biggest move that they made was getting involved in this Ryan Garcia business. They've upgraded and made that fight for a regular title, that WBA title, a regular title going on between Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero. So Ryan Garcia gets an opportunity to get gold for the first time, makes him a champion. But I think there's no coincidence that he'll be a regular title holder for a belt that Jerome Boots Ennis has. I think this is a play to try to get that fight put together after this fight.
I hate this regular title thing because the WBA, and I think me, you, and a friend of ours had this discussion. There technically are 3 titles. There's a world title, a super title, and a regular title. The regular title only exists when the super is available. So that means the world title has been elevated. It goes away. Yes, a lot of people think the world and the regular is the same. It is not the same belt. They wouldn't title it regular if it was the same belt as the world. It's cool. Secondary belt, no different than the silver belt or the interim belt or the belt and waiting, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the fairy belt, whatever. It's a secondary belt. He'll have a gold on his waist for the second time in his because he had the silver belt at one point, but he dropped it. So this will be the second time he'll have a strap. If he does win, I think Rolly wins this fight. I'm telling you, body work, baby. Body work from Rolly.
Yeah.
Put them down. But we'll see. We'll see. This will be Ryan's second attempt at making a title. So we'll see. I think he's coming in smaller too. That's why I think Rolly gets him. I think he's going to be more vulnerable to the power of Rolly, bro.
Okay. That being said, Rolly Romero gets his last opportunity to show improve. On the back end of a loss in this fight, are we done with Rolly Romero? Is the boxing space over it? Or is Rolly still?
Didn't I say that last fight? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be funny. When he fought his twin brother, did I not say that? And I said, yo, Rolly's done, bro. I was like, Rolly's done. What is he going to do? Matter of fact, I said that with Pitbull too. I was like, yo, what is he doing? Why is he still in the ring? Who cares?
Yeah.
Rolly's making himself relevant due to the fact that Rolly is a name. He also brings some character to him. You know what I mean? And just like wrestling or TV shows, characters bring something to the table. Regardless of being a former champ, regardless of fighting some of the best fighters in boxing at some point or another, in Gervonta Davis, Rolly's game. He's game. You know what I mean? I'll give him a chance like anyone else. In all seriousness, I am giving the Chris Colbert accolades. That's why I'm saluting him so much, Clay, if you haven't noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be fair. Rolly will continue to get opportunities as long as he accepts them. Even if he's just a punching bag or a journeyman or some type of gatekeeper, Rolly's going to be there. Because one, he makes money doing this. He's a big name in the history of boxing, current history of boxing. And his tenure is not over. Unless he really gets humbled in this fight, I doubt it. I doubt he hangs it up. I think we'll still see more Rolly in the ring. And we'll like what we see with Rolly, because Rolly's just that guy. I'm surprised he's not talking shit like he usually does. But that got me laughing. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think Rolly. I don't think Rolly retires. You know what I mean? I think a bad fight, him getting clipped early, knocked out. I think the big fights are over for him for a little while. I don't think it's worthwhile fighting against Rolly. I don't think there's no respect to get off Rolly's name, because in all reality, Ryan Garcia didn't even want this fight. He was trying to fight Isak, right? He says He communicates it publicly, like, I was trying to get Isak, but Isak tied up in what he's doing, so I'm going to fight Rolly. Rolly's not holding the weight as much as he did around that Tank Davis time, and he's lost. The Barroso fight was like, oh, he got exposed, and Isak, he got exposed, and then the last fight he had against somebody who was pedestrian, you saw what Abdullah Mason did with the same guy, got him out of there like it was nothing. And Rolly sat there and struggled with him, not at 147, at 140. So Rolly's going up to 147 now. He's riding the wave of saying that he's been depleting himself, the weight cut, that he's going to be a stronger version of himself. He's going to be a more dangerous version of himself at 147. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Rolly is more dangerous at 147. Maybe Rolly is being cutting the weight and it's kind of taken away from his ability to absorb shots as well as deliver shots. Maybe he's in that chapter in his career as he's getting older with age. But on the back of a loss here with Ryan Garcia getting clipped and knocked out, where's the money at behind Rolly Romero? Arguably, did Rolly Romero even make that much money to fight against Isaac Cruz? Because Oscar De La Hoya was clowning him for that, right? Said, bro, you just ran away from your bread. You were supposed to fight Ryan Garcia and get this bag, and you sat there and played yourself and let them play you with fantasy pay-per-view money that doesn't even exist, and in a low upfront guaranteed money, you didn't even really get it. You know what I'm saying? Put together.
Bravo with me, bro.
What?
Bravo with me, teach with me. Rolly, bro. I'm telling you. A lot of you
guys are calling for Rolly because of this animosity you guys have towards Ryan Garcia.
No, not at all.
I believe personally.
I don't believe so. So let me break it down for you since you think I'm crazy.
No, listen, we've already done this. I don't want to go through this again. You already
I haven't broken it down.
What I think it is.
All right, maybe I did a little bit. Brian's definitely did. I heard it, bro. He's just very flat-footed, and he has one punch. If you get smother that punch, bro, I'm telling you, it's over. And Rolly swings, he hits hard, bro. I'm telling you, Ryan gonna get caught with one, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, we already called it." I'm just saying.
I ain't gonna give a shit. I'm just gonna watch the fight. But what I am saying is that I think
somebody gonna say it then. Jared Spot can tell me.
I think that the campaign is clear, from my opinion. I think a lot of fans are campaigning for Rolly Romero to get this revenge, which I'm cool with. Like I'm cool with it. Knock out Ryan Garcia, but I don't think it's based off of skill set. And I think also this whole Ryan Garcia only having one punch, I don't think it's true. I think Ryan Garcia boxes. I think he's got a decent jab when he wants to have one. I think he can be. I think he can be a better fighter than what people have seen from him in his last couple of fights. Like I said before, I think that before the Tank Davis situation, back when he was fighting Luke Campbell and all those guys, he was an up-and-coming dude. That
I've never seen Ryan use a jab except for to measure his position.
He had a decent jab against Oscar Duarte. He fought with a decent little jab against Oscar Duarte. I think he did. I think he did okay. And I think
that was more of him on the back foot, though.
He was also brand new to coming back into that situation. He was coming off that loss with Tank. It was his first fight with Derrick James. So I think this fight, you're going to see him pull a little bit more out the tool bag. I think he's going to use this fight as an opportunity to let his hands go more. I think he's more dialed in, man. I think he's going to clip. I think he's going to clip. It will be a disaster if Rolly wins. Yeah, I think Ryan gets him out of there. I don't think it's even competitive. I'm being honest with you. I think Ryan's going to clip him. I think Rolly's going to take chances and pay for those chances in a way that's not going to be looking. I've seen Rolly clipped by lesser men. I've seen him get punched in his mouth by Isak and be on jelly legs early in the fight. I've seen him get clipped by Barroso and not be able to deal with that power. I think he's going to be the hardest puncher he ever got in the ring with, and I think he's going to pay the ultimate.
Barroso knocked out who in the next fight? You see what I'm saying? Come on, let's not sleep on his power. But
I'm not sleeping on nobody's power. I mean, I'm definitely not sleeping on Ryan's power.
But at the same time, this is X-Men versus Avengers, bro. You know what I mean? We good. We good over here. You got your, you know.
Well, we'll see what happens. But I do believe that this campaign.
It'll be a good fight, man. I think the fight's gonna be better than expected. I really do. I think a lot of people are really just pushing past Rolly, thinking that he's nobody. Rolly's been looking good, man.
Where has he been looking good? What are you talking about,
bro? Rolly is looking solid his jabs is looking crisp.
You talking about what he's doing in the gym right now on the back?
Yeah.
He like that every time.
You can say the same thing about Ryan. Ron did the Cobra.
What's different about Ryan?
Same thing is in the gym, not a person in front of him. Let's keep it real. Good for the goose, good for the gander, brother.
What I'm seeing with Ryan Garcia is focus. He's
and
dialed in. what I'm seeing with him is the focus, right? And I think that Ryan Garcia has lacked focus. I feel like this has been his Achilles heel, is his inability to deal with the outside distractions versus what he has to do inside the ring and in the gym. It seems like he has that under control more. Seems like he's way more poised, way more stoic, and way more dialed in and on the same page with Derrick James. That's what I'm seeing from Ryan Garcia. Rolly, I'm seeing the same thing I've always seen. He's beating the dog-ish out of a damn heavy bag. He's putting out all types of weird sounds. He's hitting hard. He's hitting real hard. You know what I mean? That's what he always looks to do. He was doing the same thing for the Tank Davis camp. He's always been that. He's always been that guy. But what he's been irresponsible with is getting clipped. He's been defense-wise. If I would have seen Rolly Romero in the gym working on defense and not getting hit,
he was.
I didn't see that. Where did I see that?
There's a video out there and working on the defense. I'm telling you. All right, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to you. I think I seen it on Twitter. I'm gonna show you.
He was whooping Ryan ass when they sparred. That builds confidence. We'll find out.
Listen, this is where I'm getting my information, my situation from. I think that both is gonna be a competitive fight. Like I said, I think Ryan still is flat. He doesn't even in his little media event. He's still flat-footed, bro. That makes a difference when you're trying to be defensive.
He's Mexican. There's a lot of flat-footed. Canelo is flat-footed.
Yes, and what do they do when they get in the ring? They get hit by each other. Rolly's a little bit on his toes.
Canelo is flat-footed.
Yeah, but not all the time. Hold on. Canelo's
boxing.
He can. Yeah, he's a little bit different. Ryan uses his jab to measure punches. He doesn't really utilize the jab to set up shots besides the hook, right? He's just doing this. He's like basically calling you out. Bro, watch what I tell you. Rolly is going to beat Ryan. And I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna leave it there. We done with it. You said you didn't want to talk about it. Let's move on. Because I don't want to bet you no money, because this is the Avengers over here, and y'all X-Men out there are bugging. You and Charles Xavier 68 in the chat, y'all keep it up and keep going y'all grind. Because us the Avengers, no, I'm just messing with you, because that's how we rooting for Devin for this to happen. So I don't want to say that. But us Avengers, me and Rollo, Cyclops, you know what I mean? Cyclops over there. Oh, he X-Men, no more. No. Captain America, Rollo, you know what I mean? Yeah, let him know, Rollo.
We'll find out. He's gonna make it work, but Ryan's gonna catch him for sure.
Teach. He got this.
So Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It's going down, right?
Weird.
This is. I don't think it's weird. Why do you think it's weird?
Because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is a drunk.
That's a fact.
He is a drunk, and he trained his last fight and looked like who did he fight again? Oh,
what was it? Who did he fight last time?
I don't know, but it looked like he lost, but he didn't lose.
So you're not giving any credibility to this fight?
No, absolutely. If he goes back into what he was never even a great boxer. I think even when he just lived off his dad's legacy. He's never been a great boxer. He's just a name. He refused to fight Sergio Martinez, right? Canelo did too. He goes to fight Canelo for the bag, got destroyed. Never really chased anybody that was great. Refused. Did he fight Triple G? I think he refused to fight Triple G too. Like, bro, he ducked a lot of people in order not to. You know what I mean? He was just a hype job. He was a bigger hype job than Camacho Jr. Hector Camacho Jr. Bigger hype job. So Jake is going to actually beat the brakes off of him. Jake gonna come in here like 250. He gonna come in here like 250. He gonna hurt that man.
What weight class they fighting at?
They fighting at one. I think they fighting at 200 or two heavyweight. I think, or light heavyweight. I'm sorry, cruiserweight.
I'm trying to figure. You know one thing about boxing that really drives me crazy, bro?
No.
How sensitive they are.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean. Just who that said, though.
If it's not exactly, they can't find it at all. Like I don't know who you're talking about. This is a complete alien, and it'll be like an accent or a comment. Oh, this guy. Well, that's completely different than the guy you wrote over there without the accent. It's completely different. Like, really? It's completely different, bro? Is it really completely different? Is it really completely different? Is that what you would say? I don't know if I would say it was completely different, but I hate it. Let me see here. I want to pull up his box rec and see what he's been up to. There we go. Same damn name I put in there. Why didn't it pull up? You'll never know. There was some capital letters missing. Who knows?
Bro, he 54-6, bro. He fought a lot of fights. He must fought in Mexico a lot.
He's an experienced boxer. He's an experienced boxer, bro. He's not
he looked like he got his. I don't know. You can say what you want to say. Look terrible that last fight, bro.
He fought against Uriah Hall in his last fight, which is an MMA fighter. He won that unanimous decision. It was a 6-round fight. He fought David Zagara.
He was out of breath in that 6-round fight too. By the way.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see the fight, so I don't know how that ended up.
It was on J card.
No, I didn't watch it. I don't know. I didn't see him. I didn't see him.
It was terrible.
He lost against Anderson Silva.
Hold on, you sure? Didn't we say he was with Jake was gonna call him out, or he was gonna call out Jake next? We was watching that fight. At the end of the fight, he's like, he's gonna call out Jake Paul. You said it.
I might have watched it.
Yeah. We was talking about how bad he looked. And he was like, yo, he gonna call out Jake Paul, watch. And I said, he ain't gonna call it.
I might have watched it. You're right. I think I did watch it.
Yeah.
Did I watch it?
Yes, you said that. You was like, he gonna call out Jake Paul. We watched it. Matter of fact,
did I watch the fight?
That's the fight, I think, when what's the name? No, that was Puerto Rico, right? So it was before the Puerto Rico fight when her eyes got blinded, whatever, with the hairspray. She didn't have hair grease, she had hairspray.
Okay.
He did fight Martinez, right? And that was late though. Wasn't that late in his career? Because I was actually looking that up right now, believe it or not. Echo. I literally looking at it, I was like, I think that was late in his career when they moved to 50, they moved to 60, right? Or 54. That was after Canelo. Oh, no. That might have been before Canelo, because I think he lost his belt. I can't remember, Clay. I gotta look. 54 fights is a lot. So
yeah, 34 knockouts. I think Julio Cesar Chavez can dial in, right? I think, you know what? Every dog has their day. You know what I mean? Every dog has their day, bro. And Julio Cesar Chavez.
It was before Canelo. That's when he lost his belt at 54. And then he went up. No, he lost his belt at 60. Okay. That's when Sergio went up. But Sergio was running from Winky Wright.
Julio Cesar Chavez, for all argument's sake, has embarrassed his father's legacy without a doubt.
That's what they say.
Right? He's never been actually able to redeem himself in any kind of way. A fight with Jake Paul gives him the opportunity to kind of do that, right? To kind of do something for boxing, humbling Jake Paul. Is he going to be chasing down titles? Is he going to be chasing down unifications? Is he going to make this big return at 39 years old and be the fighter that his father always wanted him to be? No, bro. That's not what we're going to see. But he does have an opportunity. He has a lot of experience. He has a winning record, no matter what anybody want to say. It's a winning record. I mean, clearly a winning record. He only has 6 losses, 34 knockouts, 54 fights. He has the experience. He knows how to deliver the power. Jake Paul is going to be very confident in this fight. Jake Paul has an opportunity to finally put a professional fighter under his belt in a real way. So I expect Jake Paul to be very prepared and very motivated at 200 pounds if this is where the fight's supposed to happen. If this is where the fight's supposed to happen, Jake Paul's going to be in great shape. 200 pounds, Jake Paul looks good at 200. He's usually in great shape at 200 pounds. I think this is going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. Do I think who do I think wins? Look, I don't mind saying I hope Julio Cesar Chavez wins.
I hope, yeah. I'm with you.
But I think Jake Paul is he can win this fight, to say the least, right? He definitely can. He's a good boxer for where he's at in his journey. I think people sometimes take away a lot from Jake Paul, and he takes away a lot from himself when he does like a fight against Mike Tyson. He discredits his progress. But I think at this point he is a boxer, and I think he's a skilled boxer for where he is in his life. We got to acknowledge his experience and what he's done and what he's been able to do to go from YouTube to training. What has he got, like a 4 or 5 year career at this point? Maybe a little over 5 year career. I don't know, something like that. 5 years.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, he's accomplished a lot for himself and where he's at right now to even be in the ring with somebody who's 54 wins, 34 knockouts, and just 6 losses, and who's also fought Canelo Alvarez and fought some fighters. You know what I mean? But look, man, I like it for Jake Paul. I think this is a move in the right direction. I think the boxing space was asking Jake Paul to do something other than cherry pick MMA fighters, and now he's brought a professional fighter in the ring. I would have much rather seen him fight somewhat of a contender who's in his age range, somebody 32, late 20s, somebody with some teeth in the game. But at the same time, I acknowledge with Jake Paul that the name matters. He's a person he's a prize fighter at the end of the day, and you got to find a name. It has to make sense. The name matters. You know what I'm saying? And in order for the fight to sell and for it to make sense, it matters. So I like it, man. I like
right. No, you're right.
Him in the ring, man. I like it.
This fight is a joke, Paul. Got it.
It's a joke, Paul.
He said, I'm just putting Rollo's and JR Spock's message together. I'm being funny.
Okay.
Purposely.
So it is what it is. It is what it is, man. Who cares? Junior Ford, Julio Caesar literally a bum.
Rosscock in the building? I just heard it.
No, JR Spock said that. Rosscock.
Okay. Listen, when Rosscock says it's contagious, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
He's a bum.
Clay, I said the same thing. If Jake want to be a boxer, go be competitive. Yeah, man. Let's see what happens. But on the undercard, as Jake always does, he usually puts on a pretty interesting undercard. You know what I mean? And on this card, we're going to see Floyd Schofield Jr. and Lucas Bahdi go down in this fight. And I think this fight is probably going to be the interesting fight on the card. I think it's the fight that we're going to be looking to see. Floyd Schofield put his money where his mouth is. He was supposed to fight H2O. We know Lucas Bahdi had knockout of the year against H2O last year. So, in turn, Lucas Bahdi has earned this fight. What is Lucas Bahdi out of Canada? Is that Canada, right?
Yep.
So Ryan Frazier
to make the fight.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
So, you know that? Did you know that?
What?
I said he got to pay tariffs to make the fight.
I thought you said he had to be fair.
No, he got to pay his tariffs.
You're dealing with the politics. I got you with Trump.
Just messing with you.
I was like, what tariffs? What the fuck tariffs they got to pay? I don't even know about no damn tariffs. They ain't got no belts, nothing on the line. But I think Floyd walking in here with his WBA whatever title he might have. He has some sort of
WBA Intercontinental.
Is that what it is? The Intercontinental title. So he'll be putting that on the line. You know what I mean? He's bringing
a belt. It's called the junior belt.
Yeah, he has. There's so many of them. He has one of them, right? Him and Lucas Bahdi throwing down June 28th. I think it's a good fight, man. But I think this fight is going to be pretty competitive. I think Schofield's going to have to show and prove. I think Bahdi is a decent little, you know what I mean? He's a decent little fighter. What do you think about this fight?
I think it's an opportunity for Schofield to really get his work in, right? You get somebody that's willing to be there to be punched on. Even Lucas Bahdi, coming off his last 2 victories, still looked like he was in question of how he fought H2O, being a battering bag. But he just so happened to utilize his boxing skills a little bit to save him in those fights. I think he was equal to his opponents. Is his opponents better than Floyd Schofield Jr., who likes to be a high-pressure fighter and thinks that he can overpower people and overmatch them with his power? That's the issue. Lucas Bahdi is probably waiting for that because what happened with H2O? He dropped him because H2O got a little happy hands and started just throwing flurries and getting wild with his shots, such as Floyd Schofield Jr. does. And boop, boop. Bahdi caught a body in the middle of the ring. So does he do it twice? Can lightning strike twice in this case?
Yeah, I think this is I agree with you. That's what I was thinking as well. That H2O, that Floyd Schofield Jr. has been known to get aggressive and go for it. And I think that works in the hands of a Lucas Bahdi a little bit. He he can work that to his benefit and time out something real impactful to happen in the fight. And we've seen, you know, Junior get sat on his pockets for being a little overzealous. But at the same time, Junior's been it's been a long time. A lot has been going on with this with the Schofields. Additions have been added to Floyd Schofield's camp. Lessons supposedly may have been learned in his last fight, where he got sat on his pockets. Did he mature? Did he decide to become a more of a poised fighter? He's gonna show the world the fighter that was gonna beat Shakur up, right? The fighter who thinks he could beat Tank up. There's a lot of pressure on him, but listen, man, I'm expecting Junior to win the fight. You know what I mean? How he wins, I'm not sure. Maybe he stops him. This guy's undefeated, 19 wins, 15 knockouts. You know what I'm saying? The last 3 fighters he's fought against were undefeated fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And he beat them all, knocked out one of them, and took one to a majority decision. In the last fight, he took to a unanimous decision. So the man can box. He's patient. He's experienced. I think it's going to be a great fight. And I think Schofield will be able to make a name for himself over finally beating somebody at this caliber. I think this will be the highest caliber fighter he's been in front of. What do you say?
Yeah, I think so. And guess what's so funny? This fight was supposed to happen last November.
Right. Exactly. So, that's why I think this fight's happening. Yeah. This is unfinished business. Business.
And so, Schofield better win this fight, or he's gonna ruin the bag he got coming with the dual Mason right now. So
there's a lot of pressure on him for that as well.
A lot of pressure right now. Don't look past this kid. Don't look past. Because you know what happened? That's what happened with H2O. He looked past Bahdi. Got knockout of the year put on his head. So
no, 100%. He can't look past him. I don't think Schofield will look past him, but
I don't know about that. They work. They're very weird cockiness about them. They got some weird confidence, and I'm not telling you that they don't believe they can beat them or whatever the case, and then do it in a boxing fashion. They believe that they're going to stop him and they're going to make an example out of him. Every fight, every time you hear them talk, it's about how bad his son is, who never listens in the ring. Right? It's like that's the only time he probably don't listen to his dad because the world's watching. And then he gets home and his dad whips him with the belt. He's like, Dad, yeah, I'm going to listen. I'm just kidding. I'm not provoking violence. I'm just joking. But anyway, yeah, man. I think at the end of the day, I think he does look past Lucas' body here, especially hearing him in the last couple of interviews. And I'm talking about Floyd Jr. because remember he said I got an interesting fight coming up. It's going to be a banger. Y'all going to enjoy it. You seen that, right? The interview.
I saw that. He.
And then they mentioned
this is not the fight I think he was talking about. I think this is a fight that's happening because the fight he's talking about didn't happen. I think he tried to make it.
He said no. He said I'm talking about Floyd Jr., not Senior. Well, I think when he's talking about he had the fight signed. He said he had a fight signed. He's going to be a banger. Y'all going to see who it is. This, and that. And then
right. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
And then the dual Mason thing kind of came out the same day, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did say that. You're right. I think this is probably the fight he's talking about. I think this is an undefeated fighter. This is going to be the biggest fight of his career, in my opinion, because this fight right here is going to either catapult him up into where he said he is at, or it's going to expose him. It's going to be his real sense of competition. This fight becomes too competitive. Even if he wins like a close split decision, it's gonna look bad for him, just because of like the Cardena said, you're the greatest of all time. Yeah, bro. We're gonna have to see.
Yeah,
this fight right here, the greatest all time. It's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be.
And how'd you let that masseuse rub lotion on your leg? Greatest.
The what?
How do you got the masseuse rub lotion on his leg? Killer cream.
Oh, the masseuse, and man,
killer cream on the play.
Yeah. I think that Junior is gonna have to show out. Listen, man, there's pressure there. The father's been talking a big game, but one thing I've seen from Junior lately in his talking, he's very confident in himself. He's very eager to prove himself. He feels like you listen to him talk, and I always separate his conversation away from Senior's conversation, where Senior kind of selling tickets and being a promoter and marketing. Junior seems to always have this authentic nature about himself when he talks. And I think he is very confident about who he is, what he can do, and what he plans on doing. I think he's over eager to show that. So I think it's very reasonable to say that he is going to show out. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be shocked at all if he stopped Lucas' body. I think he should stop Lucas Bahdi based off of what he's been saying, what he's been saying he is, and what he's going to do to the rest of the division. So, like I said, he should win this fight in a dominating way. He should be making a statement with this fight because he has a lot going against him. People are arguing as to whether or not he was sick or not in Green on today. No doubt, Free going, yeah, no doubt. You know, people are arguing that he ducked Shakur, right? That he got sick on purpose, or his father made him sick, or that they strategically pushed him around and, you know, wasted Shakur Stevenson's time. And a lot of people are holding Junior accountable for what his father has done. So this is going to be an opportunity for him to make a statement, and I think he needs to make a statement in this fight. I think this is part of his redemption tour right here. You might want to call this a redemption tour because the boxing space is about done with the business, the Schofield business. They're about there. Yeah,
that's crazy work. Who's that is crazier? I don't know, man. I think they're equally insane.
Floyd,
I just think that I think Tio got his dad out the picture, so you don't see Tio Senior so much no more. Right. But if you ever see Tio Senior get interviewed or sneak into the background, he start walking out. So he still got it. Let me tell you, he still got it. He'll sneak in there once in a while, but yeah, man, I told you, yeah, he got it. My son's the best. I told you, dumbasses.
Teofimo Senior's calmed down a lot.
He definitely moved him way over. Dad, stay there. It's not for you. It's for me. Stay there. So he got under control. On the other hand, Schofield Senior be out there, and he be like, "Yo, son, hold on, son. No, this is kid. Yeah, son."
Yeah, I think that T.O. Senior's calmed down a lot. He's still a wild card, but he's calmed down a lot. He's been humbled in one way or another, whether it's because of T.O. or whether it's because of all the stuff coming out about what happened with Keyshawn. I think a lot of stuff is just stacked up on him, and he's kind of trying his best to play the back. He's allowing T.O. to be the star that T.O. wants to be. He's allowing T.O. to be who he wants to be, whether it's cringe. Because there's been times when I've seen Senior like try to calm T.O. down and be like, "Oh, bro, come on." And calm him down. Like, "Hey, bro, this is my."
But then they get into it. That's what I'm saying. But then he get into it. Like, "No, it says the baddest." Fuck you talking about? And then he'll go back. Yeah, son, tell him. You know what I mean? Like after he tried to stop him, he gas him up.
Right. So I think that Schofield Senior is the diabolical one right now. He's the most toxic dad in boxing today, I think, right now. In my opinion, he's a toxic father.
Yeah, Senior on vacation, bro. He chilling. You know what I mean?
He's just playing his role. He's doing what he does.
Schofield, he dropped it to the NASCAR, bro. He trying to be first. I ain't lying to you.
And he seems like he got like some violent issues. He got some temper bipolar thing going on there that's kind of dangerous.
Right.
I think it's kind of toxic. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Yeah.
Sure it is.
Moving along, Jahi Tucker versus Lorenzo Truck Simpson lined up. This fight's actually lined up to happen when? When is this fight supposed to happen? I think June 28th. Dare I say? I feel like it's.
They're their main card. They're their own card.
No, they're on an undercard. I think. Hold on, let me check.
Isn't that June 28th? Isn't that the card? Isn't that Caleb Plant? No, Caleb Plant's in May.
No, Caleb Plant's in May. Hold on a second here. Let's see if it's even.
Wow, this is a good fight, bro. Actually, I know.
It's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, bro. Jai about to whip his ass, bro.
I don't know, bro. Truck is a beast.
I know he is. Listen, Tuck versus Truck. We're gonna see.
This is gonna be a great fight. This is one of those fights that we don't normally get. We don't get this kind of fight. Usually they try to keep these kind of guys away from each other until the right time. You know what I mean? Truck is a big, had a lot of momentum going behind him, being that he was coming from that that tank camp, you know what I mean? Over there on that Baltimore side of things. He's fell short though. You know what I mean? He's definitely fell short.
I was gonna say that. I remember, yeah. I mean, but that was a crazy fight. It looked like that was an off night, but it's gonna be a good fight.
And Jahi Tucker has been he's a boxer, right? He's not a puncher per se at all, really.
Well,
you know what I mean?
He went toe to toe with dude though. What that was a pro box card, right? That when he was with dude, that loss he had, it was a really good fight. Was that pro box? Or was it MVP? It was an MVP card.
Yeah, I think it was pro box against Nicholas Floss.
It was an MVP card because he's wearing the orange, right?
Who, Jahi Tucker?
Yeah. No, yeah. He's wearing the orange that day. And I swear it was a MVP card. I'm gonna look it up. It might be pro box. You might be right.
Maybe it was an MVP card. Hold on, let me see.
I'm looking it up right now.
It was on ESPN, so it's probably top ranked.
Oh, okay.
It's probably
that's what it was. It was. It was it Jared Anderson? Was that Shakur's card? Mason. I think it was a Jared Anderson card. He was supposed to wash this guy, man. Yeah, it's a Jared Anderson card.
Yeah, I think that salute to everybody in the building, by the way. I know I didn't even do a roll call today, but I think that Jahi need to pay attention. I think Lorenzo might spark this dude clean. He might get him out of there, bro.
Listen, he might. We'll see.
You know what I mean? This is definitely gonna be a boxer against a puncher. The slickness of Jahi Tucker versus the aggression of Lorenzo Truck Simpson. I think I've seen Lorenzo in the past couple of fights not put his foot on the gas like he should, or even pull the trigger. He seemed to kind of be reserved. He's gonna have to let his hands go on this one. He's gonna have to be true to his nature in this fight. To make this happen. I don't think he outboxes Jahi Tucker. So, but this is going to be a great fight, man. Great fight. I don't know what card it's going to be on just yet, but this is when it's going to happen. But actually, hold it down for a second. I'll be right back. Take up.
Word. Yo, look who it is. He wearing green too, freaking flyer. Look, he got the Jets colors on too, Mr. Shakur. Yeah, he's I'm glad we're talking about this guy. Anyway. What we got going on in the chat? Oh, salute to the mayor, L-Dub in the building. L-Dub in the building. But listen, salute to the mayor for agreeing with me, you know what I mean? That's what's up. J.R. Spock always got my back. Rollo Green, we always rocking together. You know that. We grew up together, Rollo, on the same page. You know what I mean? We moved on, though. You know what I mean? So, just want to say, man, out here, like, this boxing thing is crazy. So, who y'all got in the fight with Jai and Lorenzo? Anybody want to chat on that? Y'all can drop it in the chat, because I still think Lorenzo got more to give than I'm sorry, Jai got more to give than Lorenzo. I think Lorenzo puts himself in positions to get outboxed multiple times. He lost to some fighters that he should have beat. A lot of people look at pretty much just going to rock with Clay no matter what. Anyway, I think Tucker actually has more of a his ability to box is just uncanny. And I'm telling you, the loss he took was not by being overwhelmed. But okay, we'll yeah, right. Yeah, he's just agreeing with what's the name, but yeah, definitely Jai looked like the better fighter, bro, 100%. And I think it's gonna be a good fight. Now he has to be careful too, Rollo, because you know what I mean, Lorenzo got the power. He can box. I mean, he hits you with something, it's gonna hurt. So, you know what I mean? But Jai is definitely the guy that looks like he's got the ability. He reminds me of geez, I'm trying to think of dude like Terrence Crawford back in the heyday. He's a very good boxer, bro. And he's not looking for the knockouts, he's looking to control the fight. And I think that's what separates him and Lorenzo. I think that's what's gonna separate them. So we'll have to wait and see. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Tom, he is, bro. He's nice. Grilled. Oh, it is what it is. What's up, Bradley, man? You rocking with Clay today, man. I thought we was boys, Bradley. All right, go ahead, Clay. Take back over. I thought
Shout out,
he with your team. He with the X-Men.
Shout out L-Dub. Yeah, that's what it is. I forgot. It is the Vito Melanecki fight card. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, I think this is a fight that Jahi Tucker can definitely win. I think my eyes is going to be on Lorenzo Truck Simpson in this fight. Like I said, I found him to be very. He looks like he can be baited into a. He can easily be baited into a boxing match. And I think his strength is the fight. I think his strength is the power. And I think when he gets caught up in the boxing match, he seems to slow down and become like, kind of like how Charles Conwell just kind of got, you know what I mean, that air taken out of his tires where he seemed like flat the other night. Lorenzo Simpson can look flat. He needs to make this into a fight. And Jahi Tucker is great at taking the fight away from these fighters by boxing him. He gives me the Shakur Stevenson type of people don't like Shakur because Shakur can make a fight look boring. He can make it look not exciting, right? He can take the fight away from you and make the fight just change the whole pace of the fight because of his ability to control distance and his ability to be defensively responsible. Jahi Tucker brings that same element to the fight, and it's going to be up to Lorenzo to kind of separate himself. And I'm going to be real with you. If Lorenzo doesn't get this, in my opinion, doesn't get this win,
it's over for him.
Man, bro, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. I don't think it's over. To say over is extreme.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that. But I
don't think so either. I think he bounces back.
Hold on a second. I think that Lorenzo came in with a lot of expectations they wanted to put behind Lorenzo Truck Simpson, right? And he's still there with the expectations. He's got 2 losses, 15 wins, 9 of them coming by knockout, but he just hasn't delivered for some reason. I remember when he first lost a few years back, when he first lost, it was like the biggest upset. Everybody was like, what happened? Lorenzo, they thought he was going to have a run sort of like Gervonta. It didn't work out for him. And then he went and fought at overtime and he got lulled into this boring fight, right? He got lulled into a boxer. I think the guy had a, very low knockout ratio. And he got lulled into this boxing match where he just never seemed to be able to pull the trigger. So his weakness seems to be against the boxers. His weakness seems to be against the guys. He doesn't seem to have the answers to be able to adjust to a boxer. So this is going to be. Yeah,
I guess. Vladimir Hernandez is a pressure fighter, though. He was just a guy staying in the pocket with him. Yes, he boxed him in his style, but he took the fight away from him. It was a decent fight, but he took the fight away. If you look at the card, it was a pretty decent fight. But at the end of the day, I think like you hit the nail on the head. He can get dragged into deep waters or into a boxing match when he's a boxer puncher. And he needs to be, he's calculating on his boxing puncher too much. And I think if he gets dragged into a boxing match, he's drowning. And I think that's that's in consideration. That's how it's going to go. Doesn't mean he will lose, though, because little be known, I've seen Jahi Tucker get rocked. I'm not saying he got dropped or nothing, but I've seen him get rocked. I've seen him get hit with some clean shots and have to back up and recoup to get the win. So, it's going to be a good fight. Let's put it that way. It's going to be an interesting fight. I can't wait to see it. I do got Jahi in it. I think he's going to outbox him and outpoint him and make it his fight. And I think he drags Lorenzo into deep waters. But, it is what it is.
Right. So we'll see what happens. This is an important fight for Lorenzo Simpson. I think this is a make or break fight for him. You know what I mean? I think he needs to show something in this fight. Hold on.
This fight at? Go ahead.
Let me finish my thought, bro, please. So that being said, you know what I'm saying? I think that this is a make or break fight for him. I think it's important for him to to make a statement in this fight. He doesn't have to stop Jahi Tucker, but he has to show that he can pull the trigger and that he can deal with the higher level fighter. It just seems like when he gets in the ring with that top level talent, he has a hard time. I don't know if he's in his head. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's getting in his own head, because I really believe that he's better than what on his losses. I believe he's better than that, what he's shown us in those fights. But this fight right here against Jahi Tucker is going to be a fight that's going to give him an opportunity to either get back in the conversation where he needs to be at. He shouldn't be on overtime, right? Like he should be with the PBC or with he should be on a bigger stage, but he hasn't had that crossover fight yet. And I see people in the chat talking about, he's just not it. I think Rollo said, he's just not it. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. He came in with the expectations to be it. That's what everybody thought he was going to be, and he hasn't met those expectations yet. So if he doesn't do it in this fight here, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Right. My point was, what weight is this fight at? Because they are basically coming from two directions in weight. Yeah, I think they're super middleweight they're meeting at, right?
I don't think it's gonna be super middleweight. If anything, I would think this fight would be at middleweight, right? And hold on.
Well, because Lorenzo is a light heavyweight on record, but he fought down a lot. He fought down at super middleweight and middleweight divisions a lot.
Jahi's been fighting the highest at 160. That's where he fights at. So where's Lorenzo going to come in at?
He's been everywhere from 150, 160, 168, 175. You said the fight would be at 160, or they're definitely giving the fight to Ja. He's going to be weight training. He's pulling him down.
Yeah, he's fought the majority of his career around 160. He recently went to 168, and he fought against his last fight. He fought some crazy catch weight, 181 or some nonsense. I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
but no, it'll be at 160. That's why. Who said it's going to be at 160?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, L Dub said it's going to be at 160. So that's going to be crazy, bro. He bringing him down, bro. I got to get a fight just for that reason alone. I think
he's bringing him down though. Like he's been fighting at 160.
Bro, most of his weigh-ins is over 160, bro. Like he's a bigger fighter. Now you're in a 10-round fight and you're gonna come down to 160. That means you got to make weight. If he comes in as a catch weight, then maybe he has a chance.
Like this, right? When he lost against Vladimir Hernandez, he came in at 159 and change, right? He came in like right under the 160.
Mm-hmm.
He lost against Rayco Santana. He that was a 168 fight. One might say that, and then the next fight was 181 and a half. So one could say he was out of shape in those fights. That he was not where one could say at 160.
Good point. You're right. Good point.
All his wins, his big wins have been at 160. Like, you know what I'm saying? All his all his real good fights have been in 160. 160 could be him in good shape, but we'll see. But yeah, I said, man, this is it. He got to prove it. He got to show out, bro. I think this fight right here makes him or breaks him. I legitimately think it makes him or breaks him. You know what I mean? It's just one of those.
That's a good point, Glenn. I like how you answered that, because maybe those fights where it's just him just being lazy and not wanting to make the weight. And then now he's taking it a little bit more seriously. Here we go again with that same phrase, right? I'm taking boxing more serious now.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? Now we back to that. So with that being said, maybe he's going to fight seriously at that weight. Okay. Respectfully, I understand.
No doubt. So the last topic I want to build on a little bit is the Shakur Stevenson situation. Shakur being interviewed. You didn't see it, huh? The Danza interview. Okay.
Danza or DAZN?
Danza Project. The Danza Project.
Oh, Danza Project. I seen him doing something, but no, I didn't catch it.
It was a great interview, right? And another one of those interviews where I got to give Danza his flowers, the same way I gave Najee his flowers. And it looks like, these guys are the guys who are going over to the ring side and to the turkey side seem to have this maturity about them. They seem to have this maturity about them all of a sudden, dare I say, right? Like they're taking their careers more seriously and they're communicating. I mean, you see it with Ryan, you've seen it with Devin, now you've seen it with Shakur, right? they're speaking a little bit more. Even Tio, as cringe as he is, has brought it down to a degree in having more authentic conversations with Showbiz and I think he was on a Danza project as well at one point in time, and a conversation he had with Barack and Barack. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain maturity coming out of these dudes now, and they're communicating a lot more transparently. And this was one of those interviews where Shakur was just quite frank in his answers. I think he made a lot of sense, and I think the most important thing I walked away from it is that it seems like Shakur has a little secret weapon under his belt about these hands, and he seems very confident about what he's going into these fights with his hands. And we talked about a little bit earlier about the healing and the time, and I don't know, man. I think that I think there's a good chance we're gonna see him really spank William Zepeda, really separate himself in this fight. And on the back end of him separating himself on this fight, what does that mean for Shakur Stevenson? Where are you at as far as what that looks like, Shakur Stevenson in this fight with William Zepeda?
Really still hard to call. Like, see, a lot of I'm being realistic with the fight. I think Shakur wins because I think Shakur has the ability to outbox. But I also see Zepeda being in trouble for anybody at 135 because he just comes to fight and he cuts off the ring. He has power. He likes to go to the body, and he's constantly throwing punches like at a high rate. So you have to catch him in between punches. And if you don't have power or good timing, he's going to be in your face all day, and it could turn bad for you. Shakur has been known to be in the ring with boxers, boxer punchers, and beat them. He beat Oscar Valdez, but he also got hurt by with Oscar Valdez. But then again, he's been there with a pressure partner like Edward De Los Santos. He played keep away. He's also been in there with a heavier puncher, the guy that looked like he came in at welterweight with Artem Haratunen, and put on a great performance. So I'm not putting past Shakur to walk away with this victory and make a mockery. I think he's tired of people putting his name in the shit. I think Shakur is out there to make a statement. I just hope he don't get in his head like a lot of people said that. Like he says he doesn't. He says he just goes out there and does his fight. I just hope he doesn't try to prove anything to anybody, because if he does that and he gets off the train tracks and tries to drive the road, he's going to get hurt. He needs to stick to what he's been doing, continue to do it, and just utilize it the best to his ability and counter. 9 times out of 10, he starts to counter well, then he can start leading the jab. He has to do that, Shakur. There's a counter, turn it into a lead jab, and then start working. If he doesn't do that, then you got the high motor of Zepeda. He's going to be in your face and he's going to try to hurt you, and we all know that.
No doubt, man. I think I'm interested in seeing what it's going to look like, but I think Shakur is in his he just has this confidence about him that I'm acknowledging and I'm seeing, and I like it, and I think it's going to be something interesting when him and William Zepeda fight. I think they possibly going to steal the show that night, and I think he's betting on himself, and I like it, man. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and post up this link if people want to come up here and build. Outside of that, we are getting ready to get off shortly. I got some things to do today, and I can't let the time go crazy. I also got to go on today a little early at 4 o'clock. So there's a link there. If anybody wants to hop up here and build on anything that we were talking about, you're welcome to hit it.
Yeah, tell them, Clay, it's the Avengers versus X-Men day, bro. Get up here. Let's battle. No, just playing.
Let me know. Countdown, Rollo. After this Zepeda fight,
man. I haven't seen him in a minute. Rollo can come up. Rollo got some good topics. We ain't hear from Rollo in a while. Rollo, hit the link, bro. Or you want the truck drive?
After this Zepeda fight, we'll never see Tank and Shakur fight. Zepeda gonna bring that dog out of Shakur, out of Shakur with his high pace. Yeah, bro. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Zepeda is going to try to put that pressure. I think he's going to force Shakur's hand, and I think Shakur is going to be in paradise, bro. I think he's looking forward to this. I think Shakur has always been in these fights as of late where he's kind of waiting on these guys to kind of put the pressure on him so he can do things. And then, he's just not the kind of person who's going to take a risk unnecessarily. I think William Zepeda is going to put that pressure on him, give him what he wants. I think Shakur wants this bad. I think he wants the pressure from Zepeda. Zepeda is the great dancing partner that Shakur needs. And I think it puts perspective. I think this fight puts perspective on the Tank fight. That's where I'm going to leave it. I think this fight makes it where, I wonder. You know what I mean? It is what it is. All right, guys, look, man, nobody's hit the link. I'm okay with that, man. Got moves to make. I appreciate you guys. It's been a great show, man. Shout out to my co-host Ray Davis. We've been building today. Shout out to everybody who came through the channel. Please remember, hit the like button. Help the algorithm out. Let's help this show get out there. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel. You know how to do it. Make sure you hit your bell icon so you are getting alerts when all this content is dropping. I'll let Ray go ahead and close it out. We'll be out of here, bro.
Yes, sir. And do me a favor too. Add on to that. Clip it up, whip it up. Post these clips on different platforms, even if you share them on your own page. Shout us out, man. Give us some love. Let the people come back to the page and get some intel. So you can post them on you got Instagram, you got Twitter, other platforms. Please keep up the algorithm. Any topic that you may like. Share our content. It helps. I just want to say, Cleveland, it's going to be an interesting fight this weekend. I can't wait to really see what really happens, what really goes down, because at the end of the day, it's a battle of the bastard child versus the good child, basically. And I'm not even talking about the father, right? That has a lot to do with it. Let's talk about the country. We're living with a country that accepts one fighter over the other more so than the other. And one is Cinderella. And I think Cinderella is actually going to come to the ball. And he's going to wear that glass glove. And he's going to chip off on the old evil stepbrother. That's been rubbing his face in the mud, getting everything he's been living in the limelight. So with that being said, man, please enjoy the fights, man. Take it easy. Be safe out there. Much respect. Don't forget to smash the like button. Subscribe, share the links. And leave something in the chat if you can, some color. If not, we appreciate it if you don't. But at the end of the day, thank you for being here, man.
And at this point, we out.
For real.
The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. Ooh, yeah, why they wanna